Please take your seats. The meeting is about to begin. Remember to speak into the microphone, as this meeting is being recorded for public record. Please stand by. We are going on air in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Morning, everybody. Welcome. March 12th, 2006. We have our new members. Welcome. Thank you. And I'll read the names so I don't mess it up here. Andres and Jessica.
Jessica Mendich. Andres Acion and Jessica Mendich are new members. Welcome.
Myra's out.
If you'd like, I can do attendance, formal. Yep.
Run me through it. Is my first time as chair.
So, okay, I'll call attendance, and I'll go in alphabetical order. So, Andres Acion. Here. Mayra Butakavoli is absent. Akil Lester.
Present.
Laura Lewin.
Here.
Adam Meshberg.
Here.
Jessica Mindich. Here. And Gabriel Paz is absent. So we have 5 of 7 members present. We do have a quorum, so that everybody's aware. Any design review can be approved with 4 votes. Any variances will require 5 votes. So any variances will require a unanimous decision for anybody who's in the audience and has an application coming before us.
Okay, any updates?
Thank you. Good morning. Today's meeting of the Design Review Board is being conducted in a hybrid format with a quorum of the board physically present in the Commission chambers at Miami Beach City Hall and applicants, staff, and members of the public appearing either in person or virtually via Zoom. Those wishing to participate in today's meeting via Zoom may dial the toll-free number, which is 888-475-4499, and enter the webinar ID, which is 822-7394-1924. Or log into the Zoom app and enter the webinar ID, which again is 822-7394-1924. Individuals wishing to speak on an item must click the raise hand icon if they are using the Zoom app, or dial *9 if participating by phone. Before I swear in those who are testifying, I'm going to read into the record the city's notice regarding lobbyist registration. If you are appearing on behalf of a business, a corporation, or another person, including as an architect, attorney, or representative of an applicant or an objector, you need to register as a lobbyist with the city clerk's office before you speak to the board. If you haven't registered yet, you should do so prior to appearing. You do not have to register if you are speaking only on behalf of yourself, you are testifying as an expert witness, providing only scientific, technical, or other specialized information in this meeting, or you are appearing as a representative of a neighborhood association without compensation for your appearance, to express support for or opposition to an item. Expert witnesses and representatives of neighborhood associations shall, prior to appearing, disclose in writing to the city clerk their name, address, and the principal on whose behalf they are communicating. These rules apply whether you are appearing in favor of or against an item, or encouraging or arguing against its passage, defeat, modification, or continuance. I will now swear in everyone who is physically present in the Commission chambers and intends to testify. Virtual speakers will need to be sworn in one by one before addressing the board. So if you will be giving testimony today, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear that do you swear that to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, now approval of the minutes. We didn't have a meeting in January, so we're approving.
In February, we
we're
have one.
approving January's minutes.
Yep.
A motion to approve?
I'll second that.
Motion to approve?
Okay. Do we have a second? Was Ms. Lewin?
Second.
Yep. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion passes.
And nothing on the consent agenda today?
We have no items on the consent agenda today.
Okay. Any other business?
We have no other business. And then we do have a few continuances and withdrawals. So that the board is aware, DRB 25-1100, that's for 28 Venetian Way right-of-way. That's been continued regularly. We will renotice the application once it's ready to proceed, so no need for any action there. DRB 251150, that's 2100 Meridian Avenue. That was a city project. The city commission has canceled the project, so that item is withdrawn, so that item will not be coming before the board. So no action is needed on those two items. And then we have received a request for continuance for one of the applications. That's DRB 25-1146. That's 1 Ocean Drive. Staff recommended a continuance in the staff report due to some issues with the comprehensive plan that need to get on their way before the item is considered by this board. And the applicant, I believe, is here to
Right.
concur.
So, good morning, Mr. Chairman, board member, staff. Michael Larkin, 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, here representing the applicant. What Rogelio was referring to is that currently the property is designated as recreational open space. Every comp plan has a future land use element, and within the land use element, there's a map, future land use map. So I don't know when it was designated recreational open space, but that land use designation does not permit commercial uses. So Penrod's is non-conforming. You know, our successor entity that we represent will do commercial uses there. So it's incumbent upon us to redesignate it to something called public facilities, which is just like the Miami Beach Marina in that it permits commercial uses. So once it's redesignated, we'll come back before you all. We're respectfully requesting come back before you all on July 9th. That's all.
Thank you. Do we motion for continuances?
If we can get a motion to continue to the July meeting. Do we have the date?
July 9th.
July 9th.
Make a motion to continue.
The second it?
Motion by Ms. Lewin, second by Mr. Lester. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
And I have one more continuance request. It involves the last item on your agenda, DRB 25-1160, 1691 Michigan Avenue. Our client, Robert Ravani, is a heavily involved client. He likes to be at all hearings. He can't be here today. So we're respectfully requesting to move this application to the next month.
Okay, I'll make a motion to continue to the April
Let's-
meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Lewin, second by Mr. Lester. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great.
This will be for June.
So 1691 is for April.
For April.
Yeah. The prior one was for July 9th.
Okay.
So that's April 10th, I believe.
April 16th is.
Oh, I apologize, April 16th.
Great. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay. Now we will start with the rest of the items. Abidab?
Okay.
The next item on the agenda is DRB 251088, 6945 Abbott Avenue. This application has been filed requesting design review approval for the construction of a new 6-story mixed-use hotel building, including a variance to remove the requirement for a designated loading space, including one or more waivers.
Okay, so this application has been before the board a few times. The item first came to the board on October 23rd, 2025. The item was discussed and continued to the November meeting. At the November meeting, the item was continued to the December 11th meeting. On December 11th meeting, the DRB approved the two variances that were part of the application, so those are no longer under consideration. Those are considered approved. Those were variances regarding the on-street loading and removal of the off-street loading requirement. And then the design aspect of the project was continued to the February meeting. The February meeting was canceled, and so the item is before the board today. The applicant has incorporated several revisions to the facade based on the feedback that they received from the DRB. Primarily, they've revised the material system being used on the facade, so they're using a perforated metal screening system that includes some movement along the front and northern facades. They have incorporated some glass elements into the balconies so that they read more as balconies and improve the views for the guests staying in the hotel. They have revised some of the railings as part of that as well. So it does provide some interesting movement in the facade, opens up the facade a little bit, and staff believes that that is an improvement from the prior proposal, and staff does recommend that that be approved. On the southern facade, the building is up against a public storage building. It's a pretty blank building, so the southern facade won't be too visible. However, the upper levels of that facade will be visible. The applicant is proposing that there be some patterned materials to create some interesting circular patterns on that facade so that it's not just a blank wall. That wall is where the back of house, the elevator core, the stairwells will be located, so there's really not a lot of opportunity for movement on that facade. So they are incorporating some of these materials to provide some visual interest in the upper levels. Though it's a significant improvement, just staff has a concern that if it is considered a mural that over 100 square feet, that will require the approval of the city commission. If it's incorporated into the architecture of the building, it's okay to proceed. However, if it is paint, if there's anything that would qualify it as a mural, that may require city approval. City Commission approval. So we've incorporated a condition in the attached order that should it be determined to be a mural, that will have to go to the City Commission at a future date. However, staff does believe that it is a significant improvement from just having a blank wall, and staff is supportive of incorporating these design elements. So with that, staff recommends approval of the project, of the design, and subject to the conditions in the attached order.
Before you start, are there any disclosures on this application? Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Chair, board members. For those of you who are new, welcome. It's an honor. Vanessa Madrid with the law firm of Holland & Knight at 701 Brickell Avenue. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. First and foremost, I want to thank staff for their ongoing support, working closely with us throughout the application, the city attorney's office, and for the recommendation for approval. Also want to thank you for your time today. As Rogelio alluded to, this has been a long process. I was actually on maternity leave. I'm back, and my colleagues tell me that we're still here. So I'm hoping to wrap this up today. I'm happy to report that the design team has worked really hard to accommodate all the comments, suggestions, and concerns raised at the last meeting. And we are proud to present you a refined design today that focused heavily on the pedestrian experience along the Paseo, but also the building's articulation and selection of materials, but also the relocation of those materials throughout the facades. We are combining a series of materials. If you could please pull the presentation on the screen, that'd be very helpful. Just as a refresher, this is located at 6945 Abbott Avenue. Next slide, please. Thank you. And before I move forward, I'm here joined by the applicant's representatives and the architects for the project, who have done a really good job at capturing the context of the neighborhood. And while this is a small lot, we want to make sure that the building is identified as it should be, and that it has a big personality reflected through its architecture. Next slide, please.
The laptop is on your left-hand side. The laptop's on your left-hand side.
There it is. I guess I can use the clicker. Okay, so as I mentioned, we focused on the redesign and refinement of the building, giving it some more movement. We added some glass to the balconies. This is the existing condition of the site. The site is zoned TCC, which is a mixed-use area, and the idea is to provide vertical mixed use within the project. We are intending to use the ground floor, a portion of it for commercial space, which will be ideal for a cafe. This is the proposed design, and this will be a hotel for those of you who are new, and for those of you who are not, just a refresher, composed of the ground floor lobby with the commercial spaces I just mentioned, 6 floors of hotel rooms, and a rooftop amenity. So at the last meeting, there was a lengthy discussion about the building's rhythm, the perforation of the facade, and the overall lightness. We were using a lot of metal. We came back, we lined it up with stucco in a lighter color. We continued the perforations, but in a way that preserves the ability to let the light flow through. And I'm going to let Juan, the architect, walk you through his vision.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for seeing us today. So we took the cue from board member Meshberg last time, who was very adamant that we work through the rhythm of the facade, the materials, and the modulation. And we reconstructed the shape of the envelope of the building first, so that the curvature is a lot more harmonious. Before, it was a little bit too angular, and if you remember, the materials were a lot starker, and the perforations were a lot more square. So what we did here is we took a series of photographs that we did of some of the natural ecosystems in Biscayne Bay, namely mangroves, and we derived a pattern to provide the modulation. So what you will see is a series of variable opening perforations in the facade that will create this movement in the facade. And when you overlap that with the curvature and the cuts in the balconies providing glass for the openness of the rooms, you see the whole rhythm of the facade coming together. So go that way. So as you can see, this is the front view from Abbott, and slightly left on the Paseo.
Other way.
Sorry, going the other way, wrong way? There you go. Okay, sorry. So as you so these are there's a Paseo on the left. All the materials on the ground floor are kind of natural organic materials as provided in the sample boards that you might see on the floor over there. I can pass them around if you want to, but they're heavy. But what you see on the ground is they're oolites, they're travertines, they're rugged travertines. The wood material that we're providing that you see in the underside of the soffit is a wood, a composite wood metal cladding that we use to give it stability and prevent it from high maintenance and deformation and things like that. But as you can see, all the materials are on the ground are textured. They're natural, and they are meant to operate at ground level with landscape. On the above building, the mesh is a white Kiner finished metal mesh, not unlike what you see in the fins of the convention center, except that it's perforated and bent. So, am I going the right way? No. Okay, so this is the ground floor. As you can see, it's open. It's kind of pretty light, so there's a lot of open areas and landscaped areas. The Paseo is also meant to be open and pretty transparent and natural and street pedestrian oriented. There you can see a little bit more of the materials that we're talking about. So that the flat wood piece you see is the thing applied to the ceiling. This little wood profile is the one that you see on the very left, covering the FPL wall that we discussed a number of times, and everything else is glassed or textured stone, basically. In the travertines and the naturals. So another thing that had come up before was the scale of the building. We're in an infill zone where you see a lot of big construction coming up across the street. If you look at the model, you see that there's a lot of big buildings. And these, even though they're small sites, they're still kind of, in a way, they're still kind of like begging to fill in the zone. So, yeah. Those buildings are much bigger than they look in the back. They've been cut for ease of use for the model, but those things are pretty big. Here's a diagram that explains how this facade attaches together. So you see a flat version of the pattern on the top, the movement in it kind of looks a little like a piece of fabric. And then you see the 3D model to the left, how it layers onto the balconies, the railing system, the glazing, and the structure behind it. This is the wall that Rogelio spoke about, that's south-facing. The idea for this wall, provided that we cannot make it a mural, and we have to provide, we still want to provide some movement so that it's not a blank wall. In the future, we assume that something's going to come up next to it, but what we want to do is use like the ruggedness of materials to create what looks like a graphic pattern. So it changes in texture, accentuating where the slab lines are, things like that. Will be what we're going to attempt to use to do this, as opposed to creating, a mural or something with paint, which we don't want to do. So this is what you can see once you take out the storage building next to it. So what's really visible, it's the upper 3 stories of that elevation. So.
Okay. So I just want to highlight a few things. Thank you, Juan.
Thank you.
So again, there's only a 10-foot separation between our building and the storage facility south of us. So for now, more than half of the south elevation will be visible, but in the future, it may likely be fully covered. The idea is to create this south elevation visually appealing and cohesive, and to the extent that we're providing some sort of pattern, as discussed with staff, it'll be achieved through the use of materials in and of itself, and not so much an art mural. Because art murals require commission approval, and they go through a lengthy approval process, so we don't want to go that route. We also don't believe it's necessary for this particular wall or facade to go through the process of getting art that will be covered up in the future. So we will be providing a visually appealing product with movement, color variation, but will be achieved through material variations. We comply with all of the relevant review criteria, including design review, sea level rise and resiliency, and also the other applicable criteria that not relevant to today's discussion. To conclude, I just want to flag and emphasize that the project will be bringing much desired revitalizing redevelopment to this area of North Beach. It will beautify and activate the public street front, and from what we've heard, that's what the community wants. I believe we do have some members of the community that will be speaking in support of this application, so you'll be able to hear from them. But the use is permitted as of right. We comply with, like I said, the development criteria, and we will not be creating any adverse impacts to the neighboring properties or the area. And the architects, I think, have done a really good job from the start. The feedback we got from staff is you're doing a really good job in blending into the context of the neighborhood, but also the positive thing that came out of this process is we were able to get your feedback and make that design even better. So with that, I'm going to conclude, open it up for questions and discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Public? Anyone from the public?
We do have a few hands raised online. I don't know if there's anybody in the audience that would like to speak first. Okay, so I'll go through the list. The first person is Carlos Peraza.
Carlos, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. You have 2 minutes.
Yeah. My name is Carlos Peraza. I live at 401 69th Street, which is about 50 feet from this proposed hotel. I've spoken a few times before over the last 3 or 4 months of the meetings on behalf of the Association for 401 Blue, our condominium. We continue to oppose this project, and I just want to remind everyone of that we believe that without having a dedicated in and out drop-off way for hotel guests, that this creates a very dangerous situation for hotel guests and I guess cars driving by where somebody can get hurt. And this is something that our board president, Bruce Fish, said to representatives of the developer, the law firm. Somebody's going to get hurt. So we want to remind everyone about these issues. I feel that there are some unresolved issues here. Trash is going to be, the paseo is going to be used for trash hauling, and I think that that's not permitted. I'm still not clear about how trash is going to be handled in terms of picking it up and dropping it off. Deliveries and loading, this latest draft says that Abbott Avenue is going to be used for this. Existing parking spaces, there are very few parking spaces. Deliveries before 9 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. is proposed. Those are rush hour times, and if you ever go by this area at rush hour, it's very challenging. There's some mention about outdoor music, which we were strongly against it. So we propose that no outdoor music be permitted. And just one more thing, I guess that's really important, is for all of us to think about what's going to happen to the construction phase. That I would imagine that a whole year we're going to go without the east lane of Abbott Avenue for traffic. It's going to have to be blocked for construction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, then the next name that we have is Al.
Al, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and address. You have 2 minutes.
Alex Abreu. I live at 7821 Byron Avenue. I really like the design of this paseo, and I really think that it would bring a nice facade to Abbott. I'm an advocate of great design, and I think this one is very unique.
Okay.
All right.
I guess
Thank you.
I'll disconnect it. And then the last hand we have raised is Lee.
Lee, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
On mute. How about, can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes. Please state your name and address. You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, Lee Marrero. I live at 7717 Byron Avenue, not too far from there. In regards to the design, no, it's a beautiful building. The whole area is completely outdated, and I commend the city for changing the zoning to give it some more of future developments like we see now. Across the street, we have this new hotel coming up, I believe it is. So, I mean, there's going to be people obviously complaining about the traffic and so forth, but, that's inevitable when you come in with new developments. This particular building itself and the area needs, it has a cafe, which is gorgeous, by the way. There's not many new cafes in the area. They're all old, run down. As well as the design itself is something that will bring the city something beautiful, similar to what's coming across the street. So the whole area being developed is something that I believe the city needs. It'll bring in new money to the city, new people to the city. So in my opinion, I would definitely like to see this structure put there, and hopefully the lots next to it do the same thing. So, I mean, in essence, yeah, I think it's great that the city's allowing these new structures to be put on property. So my opinion is great. I think it's a beautiful building. And the city definitely needs this because there's been a lot of old structures. They're all cracking, falling apart that have, they bring in the wrong type of people. So yeah, I approve of this project.
Thank you.
And we do have one more hand raised, Marilena.
Marilena, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I swear.
Thank
My name is Marilena Apfelbaum. I live at 6301 Collins Avenue, Unit 2503, Lagos Palace. And I've been waiting as a resident of Miami Beach for this neighborhood to change into something like this. I've been walking these streets with my kids for more than 30 years and expecting these little buildings to transform to this beautiful project that is not bringing only, a change in the neighborhood, but art is as well. It feels like art whenever you see it. The city has been putting so much money and effort trying, and I've been part of it and supporting this, trying to transform the parks, the areas, the neighborhood, bringing little cafes and asking us not to move so much north or south and keeping and staying in our neighborhood. And this is exactly what we are expecting for. I represent a lot of condominiums in the area and I work in the area. And this is what we are expecting. We need the neighborhood to have little places like this. It's boutique, it's not gigantic. I hear some nonsense about music. We have a beautiful Miami Beach. We have, the theater. And I walked even yesterday by there and I hear them rehearsing. And it's overwhelming and so beautiful to know that we have this to offer to the rest of the world, especially because it's a little hotel, it's a boutique place, and we can share their coffee places and we can share this vibe with the tourism. I think it's amazing what they achieved with this. I was expecting to see it today and I'm very happy. I not only approve it, I almost demand it as a resident to start doing this with the little buildings that we have around, that they are closed, that they bring, rodents to this, to beautiful places where my kids can walk around without being, without me being concerned about where they are. That's it. I'm happy with the result. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I see no other hands raised.
Okay, open it up to the board.
Can I start?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I live walking distance from his property, and I've been hearing a lot of people complain about the operations of the building and what it will be used for and how much traffic it's going to create. But that's not really our place to speak on it, in my opinion. And the master plan has been rezoned for projects like this, so it makes perfect sense to have a project like this in place. And I think you guys have been highly cognizant of traffic by not creating parking spaces and by not emphasizing car use. So I don't know what more you could do at that point for it. And I work from home. I work walking distance from this property. And I think something like this would be perfect for me to come out during my day and have a third space outside of my building, outside of my personal living space to come work from a cafe and have a paseo that's beautiful and adds to the streetscape and encourages walkability. And I fully support everything about the project. So
Thank you
that's
very
it.
much.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I was just looking back at the initial submittal and like Akil said, I think we're here to speak on the design. And I know in earlier meetings, we've kind of talked at length about operations, but I don't think that's within our purview as we've established. So speaking on the design, I mean, I think it's much improved. I really appreciate, you taking our comments into consideration. I think the materials were very helpful. I wish I could have seen the metal material just to see how that would interplay with these materials. Like, Adam, I'm curious your thoughts as the architect and how these more natural materials, which I love, are going to be juxtaposed with quite a bit of metal on the top. I'm not saying I don't like it. I would have loved to see how that actually worked together. But I guess as to questions on the metal, how you're getting these like mangrove inspired patterns? Is that through painting on the metal or the perforation?
So as far as the material goes, it's a white matte material, so
Okay.
you have no reflection.
Oh.
It would be a white matte metal finish, so it has no reflection, first of all. So it would be a very neutral material that blends.
With the stucco?
That blends in, yeah. And then the pattern is achieved through perforation, so light comes through, and when it's lit from inside, you would see light filtered coming out, so it's a kind of like a glowing, textured.
Would it help if we show a visual so he can show you exactly what the metal portion is versus
Yeah,
the stucco?
please.
I think the
Yeah, right.
eagle eye
It's
view
coming.
is probably the best
So-
image.
I see, okay.
Right, so if you've seen that middle slide where it shows it from up close, what looks like black is really perforated,
It's
right?
just more
So-
perforation.
Exactly, so what you're
Okay.
seeing is this thing is kind of semi-transparent in certain parts of it.
Okay.
And there's a piece of glass that comes out from behind it, which is where the balconies are. And
Let me see if we can find another rendering of.
maybe, there's one that's
It's okay. I mean,
flat
that
on the
one
side
was,
that you
was
could see it.
helpful. Okay, yeah, I was just curious how those swaths work, but that's through perforation.
The
Yeah.
three sides are all metal.
Okay, yeah, and it's not painted metal, it's,
No.
it's
No,
just,
no, no.
it's
It's
just
just-
the holes are
exactly.
making it darker, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thank you too for kind of playing with the relief areas of where that metal is. I mean, in my opinion, it still feels a little heavy in some spots, but I don't want to like over-design the project or step. That's just my opinion on it, especially on that north elevation. I don't know if we're purposely trying to hide those two large areas on the side from, or we're trying to like kind of keep concealed
No,
areas, or?
You know, it's more like trying to create an object, like a complete object, like what the status quo that you see in Miami is like
This one.
the slab line and the glass, like it's repetitive, like you see
Yeah.
always the same thing. So
Yeah.
here the program, the hotel, and the service areas give you a little bit more freedom to find some places where you break this thing a little bit. So as you see, it comes apart where the rooms are, and it comes together where the opaque walls are behind it. So
I see. Okay, so those are opaque walls.
so it gives it
Okay.
more movement. It's more interesting.
And there is
So-
glass on the balconies. I
Right.
know it's probably hard to see it.
Well, you can see in the plan. The
Yeah.
plan actually shows it pretty
I can
well
see that,
because
yeah.
you see that there you go. If you any of these,
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, yeah, and then my last comment is I think on that south wall, which I realize you're constrained with, I like what you did.
Yeah.
I think picking up kind of the pattern that you're getting on the other sides, I think that works very well.
and it's very subtle. And when you see it,
Yeah.
when the light comes in a certain way, you're going to see a variation in it. It's gonna hint at a pattern, but it's not going to be overwhelming, and it's not blank either, which was our concern too.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you very much.
One quick follow-up question. Did you make any changes to the paseo at all, or was it just other than the?
No, we just articulated it more. Like I think we did a better run through the materials, and we have one wall that is the FPL, what we call the FPL wall, which is the one that is covered in this wood texture
Yes.
material. So we did a little bit of work on that front. But-
I really like that view. That can make you visualize being inside. when
Right,
it's-
exactly,
yeah.
and it's meant to be like an open, natural.
I think the tropical landscaping does a really good job of contrasting the building's architecture
Yes.
and emphasizing, the unique location of feels very Miami Beach.
There's way too much emphasis on this trash route when it's to go through there for 30 seconds.
It's not a trash route.
I know, it's not a
mean,
trash route. It's
Yes.
like it's going to go through there for 30 seconds, and then the rest of it's going to be, rest of it's
Exactly.
going to be a paseo. So I don't like people keep mentioning this trash route, but
Yes.
whatever. Yeah.
Beautiful design. Congratulations on the work. It looks
Thank you.
amazing. 6949 Abbott. What's the story with that? Is it a future site? Does it have the potential of doing the same thing? Is there a reason why it wasn't
The
bought?
public storage next door?
No, the other side, on the north side.
I think we have. Yeah. Small rental building, and I think they tried to buy it.
We tried to pursue it, but there was no no interest.
They don't want to sell it.
Isn't that property too gonna have to have a paseo if they redevelop or kind of be
Yes.
the other side of the paseo?
Both sides would need to have a paseo.
So even if we had both properties, let's say, it would have to have a paseo in the middle of it, so.
It would actually be beautiful because you could flip it over and have a big white.
Yeah, it just seemed like it's gonna be an odd scenario to have that building in the middle. And does it have the potential to be developed as this project does as well?
The whole neighborhood.
It could
does.
potentially be like a mirror image of this. That's probably what you would end up with. It would end up
Eventually.
basically a reversal of this style of a building.
So then these units are basically gonna be looking at the wall of another unit on the other,
They
on
have
the
a
south.
10, they have a requirement of another 10 feet, so they'd be
Right,
20 feet.
Yeah.
Right.
And then there is a development,
Just north of that.
Just north of that is
That's what I'm
happening.
saying, which is happening now, so
Yeah.
it's gonna look like odd to have this, not your fault, the building is beautiful, but I'm just saying, it's kind of odd to have this beautiful building and then this in the middle, which eventually I imagine it's gonna get developed, would have been smarter to develop together at the same time versus not. But
Trust
is
me, it
what
would have
is.
made our life easier had we had a
This
bigger
makes no
property, for
sense.
sure.
Sometimes people, I always think of Enriqueta in Wynwood, that wanted to hold out on that. But I just wanted to know if you had any information as to what the status of that building was, because that obviously affects the design. All right, thank you.
Yeah, and that building will be sandwiched, I think on the other side is a huge
As well.
development, so it's gonna be
Weird.
sort of the up,
Yeah.
the guy who refuses to sell.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And just so the board is aware, on the south side, the public storage building, a couple years ago, the city commission approved an ordinance allowing them to maintain that public storage use and redevelop the site. So they have the ability to develop pursuant to the town center regulations, a tower with retail on the ground floor. And then they would be allowed to maintain that public use, the public storage use within the pedestal of the tower. So that's something that we do expect at some point in the future to come forward. We saw some initial renderings when they were proposing that ordinance. To date, they haven't come and actually met with us with a formal application, but that's something that might come at some point in the future.
I'm sure 100% will, but on their south side,
They're on the south
covered
side.
with that,
Yeah.
you're fine. I'm just saying, I was thinking of more on the
Really,
other
you're
side.
saying they grandfathered in the public storage use,
Right.
but that can be overlaid with all the other uses.
Right, because that is not a use that would otherwise be allowed in this district. It's a non-conforming use.
If the size of the public storage remains the same as what's there currently?
Correct. But instead of being at the ground floor, it would be incorporated into the pedestal of the building. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It's useful. It's a good, important use.
Jessica, do you have anything? Thank you, guys. Definitely a different looking building and much more dynamic, and I can see the thought you guys put into it. I have a couple of questions. So south side, I wasn't clear on what materials you said, and I'm sorry if I missed it. Stucco, textured stucco, smooth stucco?
Right, so it's a texture stucco, a smooth stucco, and then there's what we're thinking in those outcrops that look like circles, maybe have an even third texture that outlines those shapes. That way you have three textures, one of them marking the lines of the slabs and the kind of the floor assembly, and the other one with an overlay of shapes that is a little bit coarser, and then the thinner one would be the background material. So it's really three layers of texture to be applied.
But
to.
tone on tone, all the same?
Tone on tone, yeah, it
same
could be tone
color?
on tone or very light variations of like a white, like an off-white, like a warm gray type of thing.
So, okay, now getting into the new.
Obviously, we also assume that it would be up to staff to.
I'm gonna make a note that you guys, we'll call it a pattern, not art, but it's.
Right.
I think you have to provide a drawing that shows exactly texture A, texture B, texture
Yeah.
C, and how it is, so
Okay.
that someone can follow it.
Yeah.
And everybody knows what's going up there. So the perforation now is more real, and it looks like you've changed the floor plate. And I just wanted to hear a little bit of the story of the layout, the shape, and relationship to the mangrove. I see the imagery, I
Yeah.
understand that now, and I see how you've pulled in the perf to create privacy for balconies and all of that looks nice. And now we've got movement versus this was just a flat skin before. And talk to me about the size of the perforations.
All right, so
Because it looks like there could be 12-inch diameter perfs and there could be 2-inch, and just curious on that. And I know we don't have a sample here, but for in the future, physical
slide
samples
here.
of materials are highly recommended for faster approval.
we had okay, so let's see, this one shows you the full facade. So here you can trace the mangrove shape pretty easily, I think. So as you can see, there is more perforation where the branches are coming in and less perforation where the background comes in. So this is the overall kind of pattern that we abstracted from a photograph. Now, I'm going to jump to a slide that we have that shows the close-up of it. So here's the assembly. So you see how this layers as a single piece. So the size of a single piece of metal would be something in the vicinity of maybe like 3 by 6 feet, something like that. 3 by 6, 3 by 8. And in this one, you see a little bit more of how the perforated, the diameters work. But the smaller diameters will probably be less than 12 inches. It would probably be more like in the range of 8. And this has to be engineered, so it's one of those things that you will send to the fabricator. We work with a company called Componenti that does these fabrications, and what they do is, there's wind loads, and there's a number of factors going into the thickness of the material so that it doesn't deform. So they do a series of mock-ups to make sure that the size of the perforations are not compromising the integrity of the material. So, but we don't see this being more than an 8-inch perforation at the, maybe there's like 3 different sizes, 8, 4, and 2, something like that. Obviously, there's a cost factor as well that eventually is going to have to kind of be tuned. But the way that we work it is we send a conceptual thing in, we get some shop drawings, we get a mock-up, we get a sample, and we work back and forth to meet the engineering needs of the material, and then also what we submit to the final set of permit documents or construction documents. So,
Thank you. I was speaking about in plan, the undulation of
Okay, I can
ins
tell-
and outs.
yeah.
Tell me how that is in relationship to the mangrove image, just because now we have a distinct shape here.
All right, so-
And that was where I was
okay,
trying to get to.
so here's a plan, right? You see an overall floor plan. The shape in plan of how these things bend, they're not necessarily directly related to the mangrove shape. It's just we wanted enough modulation in the curvature of these balconies to give the mangrove shape so that you never look at it flat like a parking lot, because otherwise you confuse it. Like I think one of the conversations before had been, we don't want, another mesh for another parking lot and things like that, right? So giving the shape of the balcony some modulation like you see here in variation will make sure that the material actually folds more like fabric than it does metal. So obviously you have to bend around the radii, but the balconies are kind of free shapes. So here you see it more. You have one shape that is the outer balcony, and then there's, I wonder if I can zoom in, I can. Then, so the back line would be the glass, and then there's an in-between shape that you see right here, which is when the mesh bends to meet the glass mullions, or the glass kind of line, and it goes away from the balcony. And this is what happens when you have a cut that is above the railing line, or I can go back to the facade and you can see that in detail, but let me see. I look forward to the day that we figure out a better way of doing this. I have to okay, let me see. If I can.
Not a Mac.
No. How do you zoom out, Chile? I'm a Mac guy.
Doesn't
Oh, there you go. See, magic hands.
PC means Mac.
So let me see if I can find the elevation where this is more. It's okay, so here it is. So if you see, there's a type of ribbon that goes on the perimeter. Then there's one that folds into like right here. Oops. Oh, you can see it here too. So there's some layers. Like, so you have one layer that goes on the outside, a layer that folds and goes on the inside, and then there's like a.
You're clicking that.
No. There you go. So we found a way to create a wrapper that addresses all issues from the plan that we created to meeting the back wall, meeting the glass lines, and creating enough movement so that it doesn't look like, again, like a parking lot, so that it does create, also use for the building so that you can see from the inside, you can lighten the mass of it. And then what we did also is instead of going into the top like we'd had in the past, we capped it at the prior story so that you have the upper roof line to be a lighter, different wood material, so it would cap a lot better.
I think that was a nice move to bring that down.
Yeah, so that's that was a big change for us. So that this thing doesn't end in like almost like being chopped off, like it feels like it goes on endlessly and it would look a lot more industrial. This is a lot more contained and a lot more like fitting a shape. So it's like dressing a shape rather than something that is ubiquitous, that seems repetitive and never ends. So that's kind of architect speak for all the little minutia of the things. We kind of really kind of like dialed it in and worked on it.
Is there now a connection to the brand of the hotel within this sort of mangrove? Now that you've given it an identity, is there going to be a?
We think it becomes the identity in a way. Like it becomes so recognizable that it's kind of difficult to.
Yeah, I think you've definitely given an identity. So
Yeah.
it may want to influence your branding of something, so you don't have sort of some
There you go. So
different concept that doesn't fit with the mangrove.
We'll call it the Mangrove,
Chair, you have a couple.
or at least the Mangrove Cafe.
Oh, right.
Mangrove Cafe, there you go.
That sort of leads into a question I had, which is
Yeah.
less on a design front, but more on a public safety front, is the name of the hotel and where that signage would go, so that cars aren't swerving to missing the hotel or not knowing where to enter.
The city has signage regulations that we'll need to comply with, and that's determined at the time of permitting, exact location, height, and we need to make sure that it doesn't block any visibility triangles.
Thank you.
Sure.
Following up on that, do you have a proposal where you like to see the sign?
We think it would be, okay, so we think it would be under the 28-foot line, so under level 2, so it would probably be in the bottom, it would be a small sign in the bottom part of the paseo, or there probably would be one at the very top as well that would be very kind of discreet. So I would think that it's either in this gap right here, a small one at pedestrian level, and then maybe one up here at either corner. That could be in the top.
And my other question is, what is the divider between the apartments, the hotel units facing south? What do you, on the balcony, what are you dividing them by?
That ties into the question that I think that we were just discussing, which was here. So you see that the balconies are naturally separated by the curvature, so.
Got it. I'm looking at an old plan, sorry.
Yeah.
The other plan doesn't have that divider.
That was actually the opportunity to actually start folding it because the things are natural dividers. So they don't connect at all. So they're private balconies as opposed to having to, before we had to divide them because it was a common wrap.
But they're private. You can still
Yeah.
obviously see next door.
Right.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have anything else? I'm gonna make a motion with a few items.
The chair cannot make a motion, so if you can hand the gavel over. You can suggest something that should be included.
Can I add to the caveats into the motion?
I'm gonna motion to approve, and there'll be some caveats, I guess. So, yes, yes.
Thank you, Gil. Lighting is always something that is written as something that will be reviewed, but in a project like this, I think all projects, it's critical because this building has a daytime view and has a completely different nighttime view. So that obviously needs strong staff consideration. I think that the staff needs to obviously work with the applicant on the south side patterns, textures, and improving all that to make sure that it's interesting and dynamic and fits with the rest of everything. And the third part is just looking at the corner at the Paseo, the main corner, and just the shape of that, and just making sure that you're happy with how that impact is through, because that to me is where you're gonna see it driving, and where we've got the most setbacks gonna happen, and how that shape wraps, and what is actually on that corner there. And the color of the metal cladding.
So, I'll add one more thing.
Sure.
In the Paseo, an emphasis on landscaping, so never be confused for a trash route.
Okay.
Never.
I'll second that.
All right, thanks.
Okay, so look, do you mind if I just go through?
We
Okay,
don't have
so.
to call them caveats, we'll just call them.
So for work with the applicant on the south side to ensure that that facade is interesting and dynamic. Work with the applicant on lighting to ensure that it complements the architecture of the facade, in addition to all the other requirements that we have.
Interior
Yeah.
and exterior lighting.
Okay. Interior and exterior. Okay, and then work with the applicant on the corner element of the Paseo. To ensure that it's dynamic, would be and activated. Okay, and then the last one was the lighting on the Paseo, ensure that there's,
Landscaping.
oh, sorry, landscaping in the Paseo. Work.
No confusion, it's not Paseo.
Got it. Okay, I think I have it. So then the motion was by Mr. Lester, and it was seconded by Ms. Lewin. That's motion to approve with the 4 modifications mentioned. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you all
guys.
very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the hard work.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Good thing you came out of maternity and you closed the deal.
Yeah.
Secret sauce. Always making a better building. Thank you to you guys.
Those words.
All right, the next item on the agenda is DRB 25-1141, 800 South Point Drive. This application has been filed requesting design review approval for modifications to the facade and exterior plaza of an existing residential apartment building. Specifically, the applicant is requesting to renovate the facade by recladding with new materials, change signage, provide new landscape, and renovate the water feature. On December 11, 2025, the DRB continued the item to the February 12, 2026 meeting. The February 12, 2026 meeting was canceled and the item was moved to this meeting. This site is located in the zoning district CPS3, and the applicant is proposing modifications to the facade and exterior plaza of an existing 37-story residential condominium. The subject property, Apogee Condominium, is located at the intersection of South Point Drive and Washington Avenue. The applicant is proposing to enhance the existing plaza level elevation with new metal louver cladding in a wood-like finish that will be applied to the existing smooth white stucco finish walls. And the same material is proposed for the underside of the existing portico shared canopy. The entry steps are also proposed to be modified with the incorporation of a large landscape planter. The stairs are refinished with marble treads and risers and feature new powder-coated metal railings. Along with the renovation of the entrance, elevations, and steps, the applicant is proposing significant plaza modifications that include landscape and hardscape improvements. Within the east yard, which also faces Washington Avenue, the applicant is proposing a compilation of landscape planters, dark granite paved walkways alongside recycled light gray granite pavers. The applicant is proposing fence in the existing southwest lawn, proposing a new fence and double gates along South Point Drive for fire access, and modifications within the front include higher planter walls with taller landscape and canopy trees and new dark gray granite pavers for the driveway. The base of the elevations along the planter and water feature walls are proposed in travertine stone finish. The proposal also includes modifications and addition to the existing site signage. In general, the applicant is proposing modifications and enhancement to the ground plaza level that improve the overall architecture of the building, as well as the pedestrian realm of the east side of the site. The staff, however, does have significant concerns with the proposed modifications to the west lawn and the impact to the connections with the street and park. When the Apogee project was originally approved, great care went into how the first level of the building and site interacted with the larger area context to the east, north, and west. While the applicant has maintained this successful connection on the north and east sides of the property, the proposed enclosure of the west lawn is contrary to the current successful site plan. As proposed, the placement and potential design of this fencing and gate will remove an important open space component associated with the site. As such, staff recommends that the proposed fence and gate, as well as the increased landscape on the north side of the west half of the site, be eliminated and the current configuration of open lawn and palm trees be retained. Should the DRB decide to permit additional landscape, as well as a fence and gate, staff strongly recommends that this portion of the application be continued to future date so that the applicant can provide adequate and essential details of the proposed modifications to the west lawn. Additionally, should the board decide to allow a fence and gate, it's further recommended that the location of the fence and gate follow the contours of the site and building. Such fence and gate should be substantially open and not exceed 4 feet in height, and any additional landscape should consist of low ground cover and shrubs, as to retain and preserve the open space views currently in place within the west lawn. With this, staff recommends that the application be approved, subject to the conditions enumerated in the attached draft order. And with this, I will leave the applicant to carry on.
Are there any disclosures on the application? Okay.
So, good morning, Mr. Chairman, Board Member Staff, Michael Larkin, 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, here representing Apogee Condominium Association. With me today is Nicholas De Giovanni, he's the General Manager. Kathleen Gutman, she's the Vice President of the Board. Alex Hurst is the President of the Board. He'll be appearing via Zoom. We also have some security staff here, and Joseph Milton, an involved resident at the association. Our architects are from Threshold Landscape Workshop with Michael Callahan and Christine Sawyer, and we have my colleague Ben Sherry. Next slide. So the Apogee property is quite large, sitting on the south side of South Point Drive with Washington Avenue's eastern boundary, South Point Park in the south, and the Baywalk and Murano to the west. Next slide. It has an interesting split zoning classification with CPS 3 and the marine recreational to the south. Next slide. I'm reversed. It was land use designation and then it was zoning. Here is a view looking from Washington Avenue and South Point Drive, looking southwest. Notice a pedestrian plaza. This is where many times a day pedestrians walking up and down South Point Drive cut through the plaza. We welcome that. We consider it a give back to the community. doesn't represent any type of security risk, and this is the focus of the application today is revamping that plaza. It looks a little bit windswept now. We're going to vastly improve it. Next slide. This is another view looking west from Washington and South Point Drive with a view of the porte cochere in the background and the plaza in the foreground. Next slide. This is a view looking south of South Point Drive. Notice a very tiny apogee sign. We hope to improve that. It's a view of the porte cochere and the driveway. Next slide. This is an up-close view of the porte cochere looking from South Point Drive to the southeast. Next slide. This is a view a little bit farther back, also of the porte cochere and the sidewalk, which is very large in front of Apogee at that point. Next slide. This is the west side yard that Alejandro mentioned. Our proposal is to put a fence and landscaping right next to the sidewalk area. I think when this was originally developed, there was no thought given to security. Since its original construction, security has become a huge issue for the association. Homeless people routinely try to camp out there at night. Teenagers tend to go there and cause trouble and mischief also. We don't want that. The residents don't feel safe actually even going to that side yard right now. So we're proposing to, yes, have a fence there and some landscaping. Staff has described this as an open space view corridor. There is no view of the park nor government cut from this vantage point at South Point Drive. If we do our improvements, which we, with your permission, we will do, the open space will still remain. I just don't think it's correct to describe this as a view corridor. And in addition, it's just not right to promote a view corridor through someone's private property. And even if there was a view corridor, which I dispute, you all have to balance the security of the residents versus the idea that there's some sort of view corridor here. And I would hope in that consideration, security of the residents would come first. Next slide. Now I'm going to turn over to our very capable landscape architect. He's going to walk you through his design for this project.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. Our strategy really was to renovate the east side streetscape, enhance property and wayfinding signage, because like you showed in the photograph, there's a small identification sign in the middle of the property and not really addressing West Point Drive and Washington Avenue itself. Also, too, we looked at the facade of the building, too, and kind of a little bit of vastness I'll talk about here in a second. And also, too, to improve kind of pedestrian accessibility through the site and site safety, too. And also, too, diversifying planting, and also, too, working with the west side, as we were talking about with the fencing. The plaza currently is about 11,000 square feet of paving, and what we're proposing to do is to recycle this paving. We have ample space to store it on the west side of the building and bring it back into the site in a different geometry. What we did too is look at the context of South Point Park and kind of the diversified canopy structure and the shading, and kind of what our kind of strategy was to bring a little bit of the essence of South Point Park up into the east side streetscape and create kind of a entry into the park that's kind of uniform with the park. We came up with a strategy that created 5 different planting areas and 3 different passageways, and these were really identified through a lengthy site inventory and analysis process by monitoring how people walk through the space. The north and south is kind of the cut-through people were doing. The east and west comes from really the residents, and there's kind of a roundabout area that the residents could cut through to, and also the community to enjoy what we're proposing is a canopy that would be here. So within these 5 different areas, we introduced 5 shallow detention areas to help with the drainage in the area, because that's a main part of the problem of the paving upheaval is the draining, how it's deflected. 2 also is the base layer for it. I think these are granite pavers, and they were set on a surface that was made for concrete pavers. The granite is much more denser, heavier, and over time it's done that kind of sinking. Also, too, what we're proposing to in these areas is to put them on about a 4-inch concrete base and mortar them to the pavers to that base. So over time, we'll have a little bit more durability. and to the canopy that supports over this. So the community can kind of walk through a nice green space that leads into the park to itself. Kind of here on the west, kind of the starkness, the monoculture is bringing a little bit more diversity to the tree canopy, shading, and kind of reducing urban heat island effects too as well. Kind of the park as it is too. You can start to see that the trees along the left there are live oaks that are kind of really stunted in growth, and what we're thinking is it's also too, it's a wind tunnel, and the microclimatic conditions of this are a challenge. And also too, I think the soil underneath it is a very heavy limestone base, so what we're going to bring back in is really good planting soil to hopefully all these thrive over time. So kind of a look to the west, and kind of even the canopy too would be high enough that there's for security like visual sight lines through the whole site, and to leading up to the fountain too, and adding kind of a low hedge to cut in between the fountain itself. I think what Michael was talking about, homeless and kind of vandals, but there's also too, we noticed through our site visits too, is like tourists that come up here and pose in front of this fountain to it, as well as there's also been, I think, some breaches of security of people actually walking into the fountain. So providing just kind of a little bit of a buffer, vegetated buffer, rather than kind of a hardscape buffer itself. And then too, this has been the main north-south axis coming into the park. And you can see on the right how we're starting to work with the signage, wayfinding signage to identify the exit and entry into the site, as well as the address. Kind of coming from West Point Drive to the east. Looking kind of at the form of the building, also to the signage itself, we're proposing the signage to kind of bookend on each side. So from Washington and West Point, South Point Drive, we'll notice the property identification signage as well here on the right with like a travertine type wall material with the address and the enter-exit of vehicular. And also to introducing the louver system to kind of work with that stark facade. I mean, actually in the one-to-one when you're up next to it, it's quite vast, but it helps the building land in the landscape a little bit better to itself. And taking that form and adding what we're proposing is like structural aluminum louver system with kind of a break there that runs parallel with the porte-cochere itself to kind of cut that material. Here's the actual two-dimensional elevations. And also too, the porte-cochere itself, you can see kind of the vastness of the stucco. We have about a 6-inch recessed drop ceiling. And we're also proposing to have that kind of same materiality on that turn into a different plane coming straight into the lobby itself. And turning the planters around the building too, raising them about 18 inches to allow for enough root ball space to have kind of significant trees within this, what are decommissioned fountains actually in the front. And then here from the west side approaching the building itself and how the louver system, the signage works, and the fence on the west side yard, which is highly permeable. It's the same material tonality as the louver system. It would be made of structural aluminum. We're proposing kind of a weave there where that's where the woman is the 15-foot fire truck egress access. And what we're proposing is a woven mesh that really plays off, there's a mesh inside the lobby at Apogee, and kind of bringing that materiality and form into the public realm itself, which allows like visibility through the site, but also provides a lot of security for the residents to use this space safely. It's like off-leash dogs, and also children can play there too safely. I think I'll turn it back to Michael. And this shows kind of just the diagram of where the fence would be. On the north side to the left is the double gate for the fire truck egress, and two pedestrian access gates for the residents, and also to further to the south for a service. And so the extent of the intervention would be the west side streetscape, our drive aisles, the east side streetscape, and as well leading into the planters coming down into South Point Park too. They have live oaks that are planted in that kind of dense, I think, wrong planting soil, stunted growth, and we're proposing them to replace those with green buttonwood trees, which are working throughout the park, the neighborhood, and across the street too.
So those are our three requests. It's the east side streetscape improvements, the building facade accessibility signage wayfinding, and then the west side streetscape improvements. Next slide. As usual, we try to go out and obtain neighbor support. Here we have South Fifth Neighborhood Association, which is the master association for this neighborhood. Morano is our neighbor to the west. We have their support. Portofino is our neighbor to the east. We have their support. Next slide. These are the two conditions that relate to the west side yard. It's basically saying that don't install the fence and don't install the landscaping. We strongly disagree with these conditions and ask for their removal. We think that we have sufficient details for the fence and the landscaping for you all to approve them today, and we respectfully request your approval. We'd like to reserve time for rebuttal, and our whole team is available for your questions.
Thank you. Is that everybody from your side who's speaking?
There might be some that will speak during the public hearing portion.
Okay. We can open this up to the public.
Anybody who'd like to speak online, please raise your hand. Or in person.
Good morning. Joseph Milton, 800 South Point Drive, apartment 1101.
Excuse me, sir, were you sworn in earlier this morning?
Was I sworn? No.
Oh, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right. 800 South Point Drive, Unit 1101. I'm a resident of the community. I've been living there now for 7 years. I'm a full-time resident. I live there year-round. And Apogee's a fantastic community. But as part of the developer turning over the plaza space to the east, we have very little green space. We have very little green space to share with our children, to go out and play, and to walk our dogs. Really, there's just that space to the west. By not having a fence, there is no security. I mean, you can't really be out there and release your dog. You got to be careful playing with your children. So it is a security issue just on the quality of life if you're a resident there. I want to bring the clarity because they say, well, you're going to be blocking this and it's very close to the sidewalk. The fence is being placed 25 feet from the sidewalk. So it's substantially far from the sidewalk. And this fence is 5 feet, which is really not a tall fence. It's actually considered a low fence. The Morano fence, which is immediately west of us, is a 6-foot fence, and it's not really a nice decorative fence. And that fence location is 10 feet north of the location of our fence. So really on the west side, there is a 25-foot plaza between the sidewalk and the recommended place where the fence would be. So I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else?
We have online, we have Alex's phone too.
Alex, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please
Can
state
you
your
guys-
name and address. You have 2 minutes.
Yep, Alex Hurst, 800 South Point Drive. I've been a full-time resident at Apogee for 8 years now, 7 years, sorry, and no, 8 years. And I'm president of the Apogee Condominium Association. So thank you guys for taking the time to hear from us today. 2 things I'd like to emphasize. The west side yard, what we intend or would like to do with the west side yard really is two sort of main drivers. The first is, as people have mentioned, there is a security issue currently with that yard, which is the building's property. Having lived there for 8 years, I've had multiple incidents where there have been homeless people in that yard. There have been people wandering around who think it's public property. There's also a real issue of people walking their dogs in that space. And it's simply not functional green space for the building. Every other property in that neighborhood, including Morano Portofino, which is next door to us, have fenced off their areas using way less interesting designs and way closer to public spaces, meaning sidewalks, than what we're intending to do here. So this is a security issue. It's a quality of life issue. I don't think it impacts, in theory, it shouldn't impact anybody who lives in the neighborhood or comes through the neighborhood, because that space in theory isn't theirs to use. And so by putting a decorative fence there, I think we're making that turn from South Point Drive, from as you come down Alton onto South Point Drive, a lot prettier. I also think we're solving a security issue. And there simply isn't any view corridor down as you look south through that space. I've lived in that building for years. In fact, if anything, I think it's a negative view corridor. There's just simply nothing to look at as you look down north to south towards South Point Park. It's never been a view corridor, and I just think that's not an accurate description of that space. And frankly, what we intend to do by putting a fence there, if anything, it makes it aesthetically more positive. In addition, our plan to beautify the the east side plaza, we think is a huge addition for the neighborhood. It will make the entrance for all practical purposes, the main entrance to South Point Park, a way better experience for people versus a windswept plaza that really doesn't serve any purpose and frankly feels like a barren space and has never worked since it was built by the developers. So, that's an expense to the building to do that. And, we think we're adding to the community, as does SOFNA and others. Our neighbors think that's a really good idea. And so we hope that this committee, takes all of this into consideration as they seek to potentially approve this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else online?
I see no other hands are raised.
Some people, public?
Matthew, do you swear to tell the truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Matthew Goltanoff. I live at 125 Jefferson Avenue. And I just recently learned about this project, and I saw that our neighborhood association that says that they represent 5,000 residents of the South of Fifth neighborhood, that they reviewed this plan. I've attended every meeting of the South of Fifth Neighborhood Association that's been duly noted. I have received the agendas, and I've never seen this project presented to the South of Fifth Neighborhood Association. So I'm concerned that they're expressing support when this hasn't been in front of the Neighborhood Association for review, for comments there. So I did watch the presentation, and it was great to learn more about it. I walk by this location either on the east or the west side entrances to South Point Park with my family, with my children, many times per week. And I'll agree with our landscape architect that the live oaks are stunted and that this will be a great addition to replace those with more appropriate trees. But I am concerned about this trend in the city of taking public spaces and making them hostile to people to enjoy. And I'm not saying that this is a public space. I don't know the history of the development of the Apogee. I do know that other big projects in the South of Fifth neighborhood, there have been some, what do they call it, privately operated public spaces. For example, the One Ocean project has a little park area that actually is open to the public, but it was locked up for years. So there may be some history that perhaps we could learn about. But I'm concerned about making public spaces hostile architecture with SEPTED principles, with making it so that people can't enjoy these public spaces, because South Point Park is a gem. The roads and the public rights-of-way that lead towards there, publicly accessible areas, are beautifully done in the South of Fifth neighborhood. I've worked with Rogelio and Alejandro. I previously served on the planning board. I have immense respect for the work that they do. And if they're making recommendations, I imagine that there's good reasons for it. So I just want to say that I have concerns about the neighborhood association saying that they fully support it when it hasn't been presented to that neighborhood association. I have respect for the staff that makes these recommendations. And lastly, I just want to say the Apogee are like the quiet neighbors that bother no one. No one really hears from them. They are a big presence along South Point Drive, but they don't cause problems. And I think that's a good thing in a city where many people make a lot of noise about things that are going on. So I'm not here speaking for or against this project, just to be clear. I'm just saying that the staff's professional opinion, I think, should be taken with a serious, in a serious manner. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, members of the board. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today, and I'm speaking as a representative of Apogee Condominium and from the perspective of someone who has been personally managing the security team operations
Your
for
name.
approximately over a decade. I will provide some
Sir,
examples.
what's your name?
My name is Logan Gonzalez,
Were you-
Captain of Security.
Were you sworn in before?
Yes, sir. I will provide some examples and incidents we deal with on a daily basis. January 4th, 2026, at approximately 9:30 a.m., security was notified of two individuals walking two dogs off the leash of the property. The individual's dogs approached a resident who was walking their dog, creating a concerning situation. When confronted, the individual stated that they believed the property was public. Security clarified that the area was private property and the dogs must be kept on a leash in accordance to the property rules. July 3rd, 2025, at approximately 7 a.m., a resident reported observing an unknown individual with two dogs removing a roll of the pet waste bags from the waste station located on the property. The individual was described to be a stranger and not recognized as a resident of the building. Security was notified of the situation and documented the incident. Security personnel will remain alert and monitor the area for the individual that should return to the property. My goal today is not to oppose the progress or improvements, but to ensure that security considerations are fully integrated into the planning process. By doing so, we protect not only the physical property, but also the lifestyle comfort and confidence of the residents of here at Apogee.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time and consideration.
We do have another hand that was raised online. Keith?
Keith, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Keith Marks, 50 South Point Drive. Speaking as an individual, but also want to clarify, I'm a little confused myself. No, Sofna did not do a presentation. I'm not aware. If there is a letter, I assume it was signed by Allison Herman, who was supposed to provide just a Portofino and Portofino master support. We did not bring this in front of Sofna. But, and this is a huge but, as someone who has 13 acres completely fenced in, spends over $1 million plus on software security and about the same for guards, I find it just ridiculous is the word, as opposed to respectful, that the staff would talk about view corridors of a private property that's not secured. We have, as recently as this week, had the police send us warnings about break-ins and having social media influencers who want to go to the rooftops of buildings and take dangerous pictures of them standing on the crowns of roofs. We have to secure our properties. It's their right. It is not the city's right to tell somebody about view corridors of private property, even though there isn't one at Apogee. And I implore the board to consider the residents' rights and the security aspect of high rent properties, high owned properties, and the difficulty of and the money spent trying to secure it. I cannot imagine if we had area equivalent in Continuum that was open, what it would do to our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else online or on?
No other hands raised online.
Anybody else from the public? That concludes our public portion.
Just a brief rebuttal, Mr. Chairman. So this west side yard is not a public space. It's private property. And under the case law in the state of Florida, there is no right to a view across private property to any particular vista. whether it's a neighbor wanting it or the city. There's just no right to it. You know, the city has characterized this area as an open space view corridor. The open space is correct, and the open space will remain once these improvements are installed, but there simply is no view corridor from South Point Drive looking south to Government Cut or South Point Park. It doesn't exist. It never has. So with that, we'll conclude our rebuttal. And again, we ask for your favorable approval today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. With that, we'll open it up to the board. Yeah, no, open it up.
Yeah. I guess my first point would be, I wish more buildings did this.
What's that?
I wish more buildings would do this.
Yeah.
In the public spaces, because you're basically creating a barren public space to turn into a park that the public can enjoy. And I do agree you need a fence, because all the concerns that all the residents have noted, that they live there on a daily basis, so why would they not be the best ones to judge on that? But that's, yeah. It's a warmer, greener, and more inviting design, and it's, I love the vegetation and the trees. And are they going to be full grown when they're planted, or are they going to be saplings when they?
Oh, they'll be established trees.
Established trees when they're.
Not collected, but it's kind of best to put them in a little young, let them get acclimated to the environment, because it's a lot of wind tunnel, and even too, like the solar aspect from the building. It's a very challenging area there
Right.
on the east and north side.
Which is exactly why I appreciate having more growth, I mean, vegetation in the place. So I have no comments about the design. I think it's great. And
Great.
I like it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hi, I just want to second what you said, Akil. I think that it's an incredible enhancement to the neighborhood. I live south of Fifth, and I think that with the design that you guys have proposed, you're joining the community. It's a much warmer design and feels like you're really participating in the amazing park grounds that we have around there. I also, case law being the most important, that green area that's the dog run or whatever is not a view corridor. I've only really noticed it a few times when walking that path, and many times. And I think the fence you're proposing is both tasteful and much more respectful of people's ability to have a view. So thank you for this great proposal.
Thank you very much.
Great presentation. I happen to be a direct neighbor to this site, and I walk my dog through that area every day. Is the area to the east of the building that you're beautifying, is that any different than the area to the west? In other words, it's still private property on the east side of the building, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But people walk through it,
Right.
and Apogee allows people to walk through it, but it's private property.
Correct.
Right.
That's our choice, though, as private property.
Correct. And on the right side, it's open space. So by default, when people see it, they see the left side, they see the right side. You can walk through the left side. You're like, why can't you walk through the right side? I'll tell you that incorrectly, since it's private property, but it's kind of looks inviting. I walk my dog and I'll grab, poop bags from that side, and he'll stop there for a second. And I'll continue to walk my way.
Right.
Same way that people walk through Murano. And we have that lawn area, which is just just west of our building that borders the boardwalk. And people used to walk on that lawn a lot. And they put a small hedge of landscaping to prevent people just to walking in. So it's not so inviting to just walk into its open space on both sides. With that being said, it's definitely not open corridor space. You can never see the park through there. Is the idea to fence in that area because you also want to remove the fence of the dog park area that you guys have internally there to make it one big area? Or are you going to still leave the fence between that area and the area that you currently have fenced in already?
Good question.
We're proposing to remove the existing fence.
So you're going to remove that fence and make that whole entire area just one big
Yes, accessible. for-
backyard gated area?
Exactly.
Understood. I think it's beautiful. Maybe the recommendation, staff recommendation is 4 feet and you're planning on 5 feet. Maybe the recommendation is to possibly, defer to the 4 feet height versus the 5 feet height on the fence. Maybe the landscaping could add on to that as a possible option. The beautification to the structure of the building, to the facade is absolutely gorgeous. I think it's going to add a lot of value to the building, to the area, just looking at it. Aesthetically, it looks great. And on a side note, I want to just make reference to what Matthew brought up regarding the approval recommendation letters of support from the associations. It would be good, Michael, to have these letters. I don't know, is there a date to these letters? Because these letters don't have any dates on them. And it would also be good that these letters in general, not specifically about this project, I think it's beautiful, but I don't think it's right to have letters of recommendation from associations without having a date, number one, and number two, mentioning that it was brought up on, a board meeting or to the neighborhood or to the association, and that it was a favorable vote. There's also a letter there from John Caprio from Muranos Association giving their letter of support. That was also never brought up to our building, so no one in our building has seen this proposal. So that's another letter that was sent, not saying that they're going against, staff recommendation as the building, but the building's never seen it. So I think just as a general policy, when we receive these letters, because if I'm listening to this presentation from an outsider's perspective, I hear this and I assume that it was brought up, it was discussed, everybody was in favor of it, and they gave you a letter of recommendation, and it's not the case. I'm not saying that the buildings or the associations would not have, been in favor of it. So it's not necessarily about this particular project because it's a beautiful proposal. But in general, I don't think that the public should assume now by seeing this that these letters of recommendations are in essence valid and it's not just an opinion of one board member or one person from an association.
Understood.
Cool. Great presentation. Love the project.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Yeah, I think this is a beautiful enhancement overall. On the east side plaza, I agree with everyone here. I'm very happy with the changes. I think that the diversity in the plant life is much needed, and it's gonna really enhance that space because I know that is a direct corridor to the park, obviously. I do think in the case study that you show, or the inspiration from South Point Park, I mean, that's one of my favorite areas of South Point Park. I think it's a nice difference to the manicured, lawns that make up most of South Point Park. And I think, this is just a suggestion. One of the things that I think makes that space so successful is it kind of reminds me of like a native pre-development Florida. The plant life there is different. I think there's cabbage palms, there's things like that just speak more to like the original Florida. And I realize you're trying to keep, some of these existing palms that you've got, but perhaps just I think there's some grasses and stuff that they use. That's just a suggestion of mine to maybe kind of pick up that more natural Florida landscape. But in terms of just having diversity and shade trees there, I think that's such a much needed enhancement to the space. On the building facade, I'm largely happy with that. I wish we saw a sample of the cladding though.
Sorry about that.
It is, I think, I just wish I could have kind of like seen how that was going to interplay. Do you have that cladding used anywhere else on the building, or is this going to be like a brand new
It's just on
addition?
the east, north, and west sides of the building.
Okay, and it's not incorporated anywhere else as existing, right? This
No.
is new, okay. So yeah, I guess I just could have seen that a little bit more, but I do think it makes it more warm overall, assuming, it's incorporated as presented here. And then as to the west side, yeah, I agree. I mean, I live nearby. I'm not in South Fifth, but I live pretty close, and I go by here all the time. I don't know, that space just, I didn't know what it was, kind of is the vibe I got from it. So I really don't have a personal objection with the fencing. I do wish, maybe we could have seen more detail on it, but in terms of closing off that area, I don't think it's hurting the public to close that off. There's no direct way to get to the South Point from there, nor is there really a view to be seen. So I'm overall okay with the fencing. I think like one of you all suggested, perhaps incorporating some shrubbery or something may make it less,
We
like
can do that.
fortressy or something. But not that I think that the one image we have of the gate looks that way, but that could be a nice way to just make it, less like this is private property, but still maintain some separateness. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. So, was the neighborhood association presented with the plans? Yes or no?
We worked with Allison Herman. She's a board member of the South of Fifth Neighborhood Association, and she's the president of the Portofino Association. And then with John Caprio.
Or was there a public neighborhood association?
No, I don't think that there was.
Community presentation, okay, just wanted to make clear. Since we haven't discussed this, can I understand the staff's concern with the fence?
Sure. When this was first approved, it was a view corridor to the bay. You can see, we have some images, 2009 Google, you can see that there was a view corridor to the bay. And that's something that we commonly try to encourage. It's part of, if this were directly on Biscayne Bay, it would be subject to the Biscayne Bay Shoreline Review Committee, which requires that there be view corridors facing the bay. One of the design review criteria, let me go to it, is that the proposed structure has an orientation and massing which is sensitive to and compatible with the building site and surrounding area, and which creates or maintains important view corridors. So when this building was first approved, there was a view corridor that allowed a view to the bay, and so staff's recommendation is essentially to maintain that view corridor that existed. It's true that since then, trees have grown in South Point Park that have blocked that view that used to exist to the bay. But staff's recommendation comes from that. There was a view corridor there that provided a view out to the bay. And so that's where our recommendation stems from.
Chair. Just to clarify, because again, I live there, and the Alaskan site, when that was given back to, in the negotiations back in 2004, when that was organized between Related and the city, and there was a lawsuit that was settled, that portion of Apogee was given back to the city, and that corridor, there were large trees that were installed by the city on that site. So there hasn't been a view corridor to the park or the bay there for over a decade, because trees were installed there by the city for the park, which eliminated the view corridor. So that view corridor
Does not exist.
does not exist ever, for a very long time, because of the city, because the city planted those trees on the park, and they're big trees, they're not small trees.
All right, I'm breaking this down into three parts, east, west, and then the cladding. East seems like a drastic improvement and a nice entryway to the park. Obviously, water control is major there. I don't see seating there, and maybe on purpose, within the renderings. Is that trying to not activate it so people sit there? And I assume this is maintained by the building?
It is, that's correct.
You don't want people to sit there for any reason, just putting any benches or something simple like that?
There are no benches proposed. It's mainly just a pass-through corridor, exactly how it is today, how it functions.
No, I think it's nice, and so you're taking that regular grid that was there of palms and bringing it closer to the sort of native. I think that's nice. Now, the cladding, I think to your point, is there a renovation of the lobby going on or anything on the interior?
Yes, there's
Yes.
Okay, so is there, it's hard because I'm looking at cladding and it's like, okay, this is a minimalist, monolithic ground entrance that has, it's quite unique. And always sort of stuck out as stark like that. And I get some of these moves here. It's hard for me to look at the cladding without understanding what's happening inside, because I don't mind so much the wall cladding, but the porte-cochere underside softens it up, but that's sort of a main architectural element that I'd like to know if that translates inside. What's the holistic vision for this? Because
So the,
you're changing completely
Right.
the look of the base of this building.
Yeah, and I had the same feel that you did. I thought that white stark look was floating over water, was something that I had seen before out in Calatrava's work out in Spain. And it's beautiful. It really creates a beautiful reflective feeling. The louvers are a wood finish, and I don't mean a wood paint, like it's not a smooth finish like you see here. It's actually a textured wood finish that's applied to the metal aluminum, and it feels real. It's also made out of a more of a PVC material to be able to hold the weather. So it has a real natural wood look to it, that's what you want. You don't want it to feel like a metal finish. In the lobby, we are planning to open up the lobby by removing these metal louvers that we currently have in the lobby. If you ever got into our lobby, you have these huge metal louvers. You really can't see through to the waterfall, to the water feature, which we're also enhancing that by creating more volume and more break as it falls, so you can see more of it as you're walking into the building. So it'll be much more open, and we really feel that the louvers really more like tunnel you right in there in a more warmer environment than what you currently have. So we're also at the treads, and we spoke about the treads being enhanced to give you a more elegant feel instead of having these 12-inch treads. They're going to 18-inch treads, so the whole entrance will feel more elegant. But the idea of the lobby, and there is consideration also to bring wood into the lobby, but that the lobby committee is still working on. In fact, we have a meeting on that Monday to consider bringing wood into the lobby, because right now really the lobby walls are all stone. But it is also a stone that reflects very similar colors to the wood that you're going to see in the louvers wrapping the base of the building.
Gotcha, thank you. So the lobby design isn't completed yet?
It's incomplete, but conceptually it is to open it up. And we are making minor changes, but we haven't really defined them yet.
Okay. Thank you for giving me that
All right,
info on that.
thank you.
In the reference to Calatrava is true, because it's the reflecting pools, and that's what stands out for that building. East side, I think I'm more so leaning with the board here that you guys want a private dog run that's bigger, that's controlled, and you're gonna landscape it beautifully, and it'll be more secure, and we're not blocking anything that wasn't already blocked, so I understand the staff's preservation of the original intent for sure. And that was a good point about them the city planting trees when it was given over, so they sort of blocked it on their own years ago. I'm not making any.
Can I make a motion?
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the plans as presented with a modification that the fence be 4 feet per staff's recommendation instead of 5 feet.
And then add Laura's suggestion about additional landscaping. I think that's fine.
Does anyone have any concern with the cladding of the canopy and the walls that I do, for potentially breaking that part of the project out to further look at?
I don't know. I mean, I sort of trust where the design's going. Ideally, yes, but I don't know if it's necessary to hold up the approval. That's just my thought. I trust that, I think we can leave that to staff, that the materials are gonna be of a quality that is acceptable, for the, you know, the neighborhood.
And maybe I'll reinforce there's a lot of slats around Miami. This material's used for a lot of people in this room and a lot of architects, including myself. It's nice and I use it, I like it, but just keeping the preservation of the original architecture and materials in mind, which I know you have, I'm just sort of saying this out loud, when working with staff on this.
That's it. Thank you.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Good.
And just the removal of the two staff conditions that prohibit the fence and prohibit the landscaping in the west side yard.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Modifying the height of the fence
To 4 feet.
per staff recommendation to 4 feet.
To 4 feet.
Including the landscape
Including
recommendation?
landscaping around the fence.
Right.
Yeah, that's
What-
to your-
Long fence.
Sorry, one last thing. Is the flooding in the road right there, there's no way that what you're planting there can help absorb what's happening there, because that corner is.
No, there's no water flooding that goes back to that area at all.
Right, but that is the corner that's always flooding, right?
No.
Okay, I just feel like,
No. It's, now with city, water pumps and they're very active on that side. But
I'm not down
that corner does not get flooded.
okay, all right, I was like, if they're gonna redo this, maybe they could absorb a little of the water if it was on the premises if possible.
Back there is pretty high. There's never been water to that level.
There's no water issue.
No.
Okay, I just remember like driving through a lot of puddles somewhere.
It used to be.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Thank
it's,
God they fixed that.
okay, good, all right, never mind that.
Okay, so we had a motion. The motion is to, we'll revise the condition so that the fence and gate shall be permitted not to exceed 4 feet, and then we'll add subject to review and approval of staff. And then we will revise the landscape condition so that the proposed new landscaping located on the north side of the site to the west of the driveway shall be permitted. And the entire, and then I'll strike the sentence that says the entire west side shall retain the current planning design with no changes.
Laura had wanted it enhanced.
And then we will
Enhanced
add
landscaping along the
enhanced
fence.
landscaping to that.
Along the
The lighting elements, I'm sorry, through the chair, the proposed, I don't remember seeing the lighting elements on either side, specifically more on the east side to all the trees you're adding. Are all of them being properly covered with landscaping throughout?
Yes.
Okay, I would imagine.
I brought this up before, the lighting is critical in the design, and so, again, I think staff takes care of the lighting per code and everything, which, low lighting, less post lighting.
Agreed.
Okay, so we had a motion by Mr. Racion. Did we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Lester. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion passes.
Great. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Okay. The next one will be, One Ocean is continued. So we will go to 104, San Marino.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next item on the agenda is the RB 25-1147, 104 East San Marino Drive. This application has been filed requesting design review approval for the new construction of a two-story residence, including a variance of the rear yard setback requirements for the construction of a spiral stair, a variance for the required side yard facing the street for a planter and a terrace, and a variance for the construction of walkways and stairs to exceed 44 inches in width to be located in the required side yard facing the street, and a variance of the required rear yard open space, including one or more waivers, to replace an existing residence.
Okay, so this is an application for a single-family home. It's located on San Marino Island, which is one of the Venetian islands. It is in the RS4 district. It is an interior lot. It is 7,066 square feet. The lot is oriented where the functional front yard is on the side facing a street, and what is the actual front yard is actually treated as a side facing a street. So that is consistent with the way the homes are oriented along San Marino Drive, where the corner lots typically have their front on the longer side, which is not what is typical in the city. Typically, the narrow side is the front of the home. The application is proposing for a home that is of a contemporary style, has interesting materials that are being used. They are seeking some waivers as a result of the orientation of the home. So given that the functional front yard of the home is a side facing a street, and the home has a length that is greater than 60 feet, they are requesting a waiver of the open space requirement that is required for homes that exceed 60 feet. Staff is not opposed to the granting of that waiver, given that the facade of the home is designed to include movement and articulation that provides visual interest. That is the intent of that code section. They're seeking the same waiver on both the rear of the home, which is actually a side interior yard. So this home, because of the orientation, does have some oddities which lead to the variances that I'll describe. Staff is supportive of the granting of the waivers. Staff is supportive of the design of the home, and the applicant will walk you through that design. The applicant is seeking 4 waivers. The first waiver, I'm sorry, 4 variances. The first variance is for a spiral staircase. The applicant is requesting to reduce the required rear yard setback of 20 feet by 3 feet 6 inches in order to allow a spiral staircase that is 16 feet 6 inches from the rear yard lot line. The rear yard is functionally a side yard. So this is basically the main location where that spiral staircase can be located. That spiral staircase is to allow the applicant to get to the roof deck. Staff is not opposed to the granting of this variance, because if it were an actual side interior yard, it would be compliant with the required setback. The second variance is a terrace and planter variance. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow for an entry planter and step to exceed the required setback by 3 inches for a terrace and 1 foot 3 inches for a planter to allow for a greater projection than what would otherwise be allowed. Staff is not supportive of this particular variance, given that staff believes that if it were just reduced by 3 inches for the walkway and the foot 3 inches for the planter, it would comply with the code requirements. This walkway would not significantly alter the design or the functioning of the property. So we don't believe that it rises to the level of there being a hardship or a practical difficulty. So this is the one variance that staff is not supportive of. The rest of the variances we are supportive of. The next variance is a variance for stairs and walkways. This is to allow stairs and walkways in the front yard to exceed the maximum width of 44 inches. Given that the front of the home is on a side facing a street, the proportions of that frontage lead to the need for a greater width of a walkway. Otherwise, it would architecturally create a disproportionately narrow walkway given the width of that frontage. So that does create a practical difficulty for the applicant, and so the orientation of the home that is predominant in this area does lead to the need for a greater width for that walkway, and staff is supportive of that variance. The next variance is for the pervious area. This is in the rear yard, which is actually functioning as a side yard. It's in the same area where that circular staircase is located. The applicant is requesting to reduce the required rear yard pervious open space of 70% to 53.4%. Because it's functioning as a side yard, this is really the only location where the applicant can locate their driveway and their parking. So staff is supportive of the granting of this variance because it does allow them to put the parking in what is a functional side yard. If this were actually a side yard, they would be in compliance with the code requirements, but since it is technically their rear yard, they do require that variance, and staff is not opposed to the granting of that variance. So with that, staff recommends that the application be approved, including variances number 1, 3, and 4, and staff recommends that variance number 2 be denied, and subject to the conditions in the attached draft order.
Are there any disclosures on this application? And sir, can I please swear you in?
No, I'm sworn in.
Oh, okay, okay, great.
I'm Ralph Choef. I am founding partner at Choef Levy Fishman Architects in Wynwood in Miami. And here we have a two-story residence that's located on a corner lot on Miami Beach at San Marino. It's an interior lot, but it's a corner lot. Because of its corner designation or its corner location, it makes the setbacks a little bit difficult to work with. But I'm going to go ahead and, first of all, I'd like to show the what the house looks like. The house is going to be a combination of natural concrete, limestone, and we have a material that's a screening that you'll see in the front. And the screening, unfortunately, it doesn't stretch here, but when stretched, it opens up all the way, and that's the screening you'll see in the front over there. And we wanted to use this in lieu of the verticals that you see to make the house a little bit more design friendly. There is quite a bit of movement in the house, both in all elevations, especially facing the east, which is the side street of the house. So I'll go over the variances with you and why we're requesting them. The first variance, let's go to the sheet A080. Okay. And the first variance you'll see a spiral staircase on the right side there. That spiral staircase is a minimal spiral staircase and it goes to the roof. There is no roof use, there is no roof lounge, but we do have equipment on the roof. So the reason for that, in that location, first of all, it really won't be seen because of the location that it's at. It's just tucked away. And also, we can access all the air conditioning and generator equipment that's on the roof, and that's the reason for that. The second request we have is the driveway, which is technically the rear setback because of the orientation and location of the lot on a corner property. To put a pool there is a very awkward location as it's going to receive minimal sunlight. And to put it on the corner, it receives maximum sunlight. And as well, because of the code, we have to set back the pool the same as we set back a building or a structure, which is 20 feet from that side. So the entire, what is technically the front, but it's the side street, is now going to be fully landscaped 100%. And then, of course, most of the side street, the actual long portion of the lot, is going to be landscaped as well. The other, so that's, the variance is we have to have 70% pervious in the rear. And of course, if we put a driveway there to fit a car or two, we're not going to achieve that. But what we will do is put grass pavers, so the grass grows through them and it looks like a grassed-in yard. Unfortunately, grass pavers are not considered impervious, or pervious, I should say. So we have to count that towards the 70%. So that's another variance. Another variance we have are the front steps. Could you put the elevation that shows the front steps as we have them, and then we'll show them what can be built. Lots of drawings. Okay, that is what we're proposing for the main entrance of the house. Because they encroach a little bit into the setback that's required, which is 15 feet for the side street, put on the next slide, this is what we can build according to the code. As you could see, what we have is really will have no impact at all on any neighbors or the site, but it will have a major impact on the aesthetics of the house. So that's why we're asking for that one. Let me see. So we've taken care of the rear yard spiral stair, the variance for the front entrance. Okay. We've taken care of variance number 3, which is the walkway and stairs. We've taken care of the variance to waive 70% minimum rear setback. Okay, so the next variance we're asking for, or waiver, this is a waiver, is in the side street. So the side street setback, 50% of it must be set back an additional 5 feet or 20 feet from the side setback. So let me see right here. How we've done that is we have set back the additional 5 feet in the actual residence. But we wanted to do something, and if you could put the front rendering on again. We wanted to do something with this screening, and so technically, because we're putting the screening on, we don't meet the requirement of the additional 5 feet, although the actual structure is set back the additional 5 feet. If we were to take the screening off, we comply. But I think this is an integral part of the design, which is really, really important. And that's why we're asking for this. And it'll make the house a lot more interesting. The next one we want to waive, let's go into what is technically the rear elevation. That one. So this elevation is limestone, natural concrete. We have the bronze aluminum windows. But you'll also see where we break up the 60 feet, or what is supposed to be 60 feet. And we break it up with an area of a reflecting pond that has sliding glass doors on 2 sides that the residents will open up into, and there's a cascading water wall right across from the living room there. So it's a whole scene. Now, this faces the neighbors on the other side. In order to comply, I would have to take the reflecting pond out and put it on the ground, which takes away the entire effect of what we want there and the water coming into the residence itself. Yes? You were going to say something, Rogelio? Oh, okay. Sorry. Anyway, so it's a technicality. It is wide open. It's glass, as you could see. The neighbors have a pretty good view to look at as regards this house. Have I gone through all of them, Rogelio?
You missed the variance number 2, which is the only one that we're not supportive of.
Oh, geez. That's odd.
The rest of it, we're all supportive of.
Okay, let's go to the front elevation again. No, let's go to. Yes. Okay. So, is there another view of the front from the side? Yeah. Right. That one. Okay. So that planter exceeds that 15-foot setback by 1 foot 6 inches, and the walkway exceeds the front setback by 3 inches. I can move back 3 inches. That's not a problem. That's probably our bad. As far as the planter, I want to create some dimensionality. If I move back the walk 3 inches, so I move back the planter 3 inches, so it's 1 foot 3 inches instead of 1 foot 6 inches. And I can, I just wanted to have that plant. That plant is going to be pretty visible in the front elevation of the house that people see. And I did not want it on the same plane as the actual walkway, which is a change of material as well. And it's also cantilevered. on, so it doesn't really touch the ground. So again, we don't really have, we have minimal impact at that point for the neighbors, but aesthetically, it makes the house look better. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Nice looking home. Anybody online?
Anybody online, if you'd like to speak, please raise your hand. No hands online.
Anybody in the public? No? It concludes the public portion. I'll open it up to the board.
I have a question to staff. It would be great to sort of modify some things that we don't have to listen to for modifications if we can, like for instance, the stairs, that you're making it, wider at the entrance to walk into the front door versus what is allowed. Why is that not allowed? Like, why do we need a variance for those stairs?
The code says that when walkways and related stairs are going into a setback, the maximum width is 44 inches. Unless you need a wider walkway for ADA purposes, because there's stairs, this can't be considered an ADA walkway. That is intended to ensure that setbacks are not overly paved, minimize the amount of pavement in those setback areas. But that is a variance that sometimes often does come to the board, because in many cases on larger lots or on wider frontages, it does make sense to have a wider stairway.
So how can we make recommendations to maybe modify some of those things and make them more updated? Because obviously it's an obvious,
This
the
house
design.
is, the reason this one is it's flipped, because its front yard is facing the side yard, so the code is written for side yards. I'm answering important. Code's written for a side yard, so you don't have a big stair. It's like on the narrow side yard of a
Got it.
house.
So this is a side yard
But
variance, but in actuality, this is the front door.
yeah.
So it's the front of the house in
Yeah.
this case. Got it. Understood. Question for you. The front door, any reason why you made it a single versus a double, kind of like a wider entrance, or how wide is that front door?
Front door is 6 feet wide. It's a pivot door.
Got it. And then it walks into the gym?
Yes.
Can you explain that?
The-
I mean, not that it
the-
matter, I mean,
The layout of the house is a little bit unusual. We designed it as a living room and the gym in the back. The owner wants the gym to be in the front and the living room to be in the rear. So it has not only the view of the pool, but it has the view of the reflecting pond and the cascading water feature. So it has that. As well, this particular owner also has another house on Miami Beach, and he lives predominantly in that other house. This house is going to be used for his family and his guests, and he wants a gym, which he does not currently have at his house, and that's his gym to use. So he's
got
going
it.
to come here
It's
to
just-
use it.
It seems odd that it's not flipped, the gym on the
Oh,
back
it
and the living
was.
room and the dining.
The original design was.
Was, and he had, to each his own, so,
That- yeah.
whoever wants.
That's how he lives.
Yeah, it's, so everybody walks into the gym.
Yeah. Well, the gym's to the left. You actually walk into another area, I think.
What do you mean? When you walk in, you have the
Yeah,
stairs,
you
you have
walk
the
in
kitchen
right
to
into the
the,
gym.
on the other side of a pantry
Yeah,
or
you kinda-
closet. So
yeah,
you walk
it-
into the gym in this house.
Yeah, the gym is on the left, to the left exactly when you walk in.
Yeah.
Andres, I had the same feeling, but I was said, you know what, that's inside, right?
Everybody has their own, way of living, but it's just weird that you walk in.
And another thing about this gym, so you'll know, first of all, he's gonna have the best equipment, because this is for him. All the sliders open on two sides. So not only do they open to the front, they open to the side, and they open to the pool and the other side, which is the walkway. And that means that when he's working out, he's gonna feel like he's working out outside. And
Which is beautiful.
That's one of the things he likes, so.
So hey, everybody walk into the house and
Yeah.
come right into the gym. On the planters that you want to put in the front, what kind of landscaping are you putting in? How high is that landscaping going to be going?
Oh, that's not gonna be high. That's, it may be at its tallest point, 2.5 feet above the planter, and the rest, are wall vines.
Got it. My only concern with those planters, staff, that you were making it a comment to make it a few inches further back, is that sometimes if those planters are going to have larger shrubs, and then they sort of like grow out, and then they kind of like encroach into the sidewalk area.
Yeah, no, you could see in the rendering that we're keeping everything, they're hanging vines and just a little shrubbery coming up to 2.5 feet.
Got it.
It's
Thank you.
not, you know, and it's still set back 13 feet 9 inches from the side. Yeah. It's set back 13 feet 9 inches from the sidewalk, and it's all, that whole side is landscaped anyway as well.
Ralph, can you hold up the mesh again? Because that, I think, is a unique feature of the house. And
The problem is I can't stretch it as like it's going to be stretched, because this is mechanically stretched.
what
As you can
percentage would
see,
you give
how-
it? What percentage openness would you classify it as?
I would say this is about 65% open, and the rest is closed.
And those will be fixed panels upstairs.
Those are fixed, yeah. And they're stretched.
And that's aluminum or stainless?
Yeah, this is, yeah.
Have you
galvanized
used it
aluminum.
before? It's-
I have not, but we have architects that are friends of ours in South Africa, and they've used it extensively in some of their homes, and it's beautiful.
Looks like it's gonna be unique.
I mean, it's fabulous, but
I just want it to hold up and not like.
yeah, I just got a little bit tired of the vertical thing going on, and I think the screening
Happened
is.
to come right after that.
I heard your comment, I said, you know, absolutely. That's why Juan's building with that mesh and that pattern is really beautiful, because yeah, he's a very good architect. I know him for many, many years, and that's gonna be beautiful, the way that's done, especially if it's backlit correctly, which this will be backlit, so.
This, are you gonna do grazers or something?
Here? No, as far as the lighting?
Yeah.
No, they're just gonna be pin spots behind it. It's gonna light that up. Plus, the lighting also from the interior will take care of a lot of that, so.
And just to be clear, you said that along the side yard, the 50% that you were exceeding was because of the mesh, but it's the bathtub and the closet wall, right? Not the mesh isn't driving you over. It's those two bump outs, right?
Well, yeah, the mesh is what's driving me over. If you took out the mesh, over 50% of that elevation is set back that additional 5 feet that's required to be set back. But the mesh, technically, because it's put where the railing would normally be in the front, takes that out of play.
Am I reading waiver 5 wrong? Does the mesh count? I'm just looking at your diagram with the hatched area on A091.
Yeah, so the bathroom that you see on the right and.
By the way, I like the undulation in the facade. I'm just asking.
No.
I just want to know how mesh is considered.
Yeah, the 15 feet is actually to the bathroom wall that you see there. Look at sheet A091.
That's the one I'm on.
And so the actual setback that I need there is 15 feet. And so that bathroom is the 15 feet. Everything else that's back, an additional 5 feet.
Okay.
So I'm really over the required setback that I'm required on that side if the mesh was out. But since the mesh is in, it technically reads, I have to technically make the mesh the 15 feet, and the additional 5 foot that I'm required there isn't met. It's because of the mesh.
If it were a balcony, we likely wouldn't have required the waiver, but because this goes the whole height of that elevation, we do consider that as part of the 2-story volume. So therefore, they would require this waiver. But it is a waiver, not a variance, so it's just subject to the design review criteria.
And that's why I was asking about the
Yeah.
percentage of opening. Like, I know the code doesn't state if it's 50% open, it doesn't count.
It's not, it doesn't have a specific regulation in that regard, so it's kind of an interpretation. And so since it is all the entire elevation of that facade, we determined that that was, that would have to be set back 5 feet in order to avoid having the waiver.
It's a sharp house. I like the simple, clean palette and the new material you're introducing from changing the fabric of the neighborhood. I welcome that.
Oh, appreciate it. And, you know, it's also not your average screening, if you look at it. It's not your average screen that you put up and nothing that people see all the time. So it's, I thought it was an interesting design feature, so.
And it's an exposed lot, so I think they need the privacy up there in that.
And I can't
that
take
bathroom.
credit for the screen design because a friend of mine used it in South
But
Africa.
you put it in the right places.
Yes. He put it in the exact same, not he, it's a they. They put it in the same places I did.
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo, the home is gorgeous. The material use is, novel. One thing I'm struggling with, and I'm not gonna, hold up approval on it, but this staircase to me is a very big gesture for something that is only for roof access. I don't know, Adam, how does this is there typically stairs inside the house or something? Is that how you typically access mechanical?
You're really not allowed stairs to the roof inside the house because although elevator towers are allowed on the roof, to go to the roof, stair towers are not. So any stair that you have has to be an exterior stair. Now, if you don't want a waiver, of course, you put it within the setback, and then you don't need that. You don't need a waiver for something like that. We thought because of the limitations of the site, and we do have a lot of movement on this elevation, that maybe we could get a variance on that. It's important to us.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I don't object to the way it's presented here. It's more just the design of the stairway just seems like, yeah, like it's not as light and refreshing as the rest of the house, in my opinion. Again, it's just my opinion. I don't feel super strongly,
okay,
but it seems almost detracting from the beauty of the home.
So, so you'll see the stair, and it's interesting because it doesn't have railing like pickets or anything. What we've done is we've done a solid bronze aluminum to go with all the rest of the aluminum of the house and made it look like a sculpture. So for us, it's a sculpture piece on the side of the house, and that's why we designed it that way.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And I guess just because we haven't really talked about it, this planter variance, I'm struggling a little bit with it. I'm kind of leaning with staff only because it's a variance. If maybe, I mean, I'm struggling to see the hardship other than, I agree, it looks very good the way you've designed it, but
There is no hardship.
There's no hardship.
I'm going to be blunt with you.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no hardship here.
maybe-
It's only being done for aesthetic reasons.
Yeah, so my only concern is precedent, right?
And it's
I think it looks gorgeous the way you've designed it. I just don't want to accept a variance here purely for aesthetics. That's
So,
that's just my
to
point
clarify,
on that.
board orders don't have precedential value, so,
Okay.
you know.
But I'm with
Okay.
you. It's
People are gonna still come.
yes.
I mean, because I do think there's other ways, I guess we could kind of get a differential in relief or change, and maybe we go in or something, or we put like a vertical tree or something. I have no problem with any of the other ones. It's just, is this a hardship? I don't know. So, but just for the board to think about.
Chair, I have one more question, sorry. You mind?
Okay.
Is there a reason why you're not using the roof? Are they allowed to use the roof as they are allowed to use? So you are choosing not to use the
We're
roof?
choosing not to use the roof as a rooftop use. First of all, because of the restrictions of the setbacks, it would be a very narrow roof use because you have to set back 10 feet from the structure on all sides. So it would make, and you can only use 25% of the roof. So it would make it almost a negligible roof deck. Now, that being said, the owner doesn't want to use it for anything. He says people that have roof decks rarely use them. So he didn't feel the need to do it. But because we have such a restriction on the size of the site and where everything needs to be, that's why we put the
And
equipment.
you're
on the
only
roof.
allowed to use 25% of the roof?
That's correct. Of the floor below, only 25% of that can have a roof deck above it.
Got it. And out of curiosity, are there really 7 AC units that you're putting on the roof?
Yes, and I'll explain, they're very small. I'll explain to you why. If you look at the plan, maybe there's one AC closet, but the rest of the units are inside the ceiling. They're all mini splits.
Oh.
He's from Europe. He lives in France half the year, and he lives in Miami the other half. And he wants every area, especially bedrooms, separately air conditioned. But so they're going to be tiny mini split units. They're not going to be these big compressors that you see.
Right, like at a hotel.
Like what?
In the hotels that they have.
It's
a lot
like
of times, yeah.
at a smaller hotel,
Yeah.
yes.
Got it, thank you.
right.
Interesting. Anybody else? Okay, anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve everything except variance number 2.
Actually, you should do the design and the waivers separate from the variances.
Okay, so I'd make a motion to approve the design in both waivers. End of motion. Anyone? want-
Second.
Okay.
Motion by Ms. Lewin, second by Mr. Lester. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
And then I'd make a motion to approve variances 1, 3, and 4. And I guess deny, do I expressly deny? Okay, and deny 2.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nope. Okay, motion
Thank you,
passes.
everyone. Appreciate your
It's
time.
beautiful.
Thank you.
And we're giving this to Lady Gaga for her next show after we finish using it.
Good one.
Great work.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Actually, on this side, so go down. On the right, on the right.
Never do well.
There we have
Show.
We have 2 more. And I think lunch is there if anybody wants to.
We need them to flip it. Let's fix it. Somebody's fixing it. That's what I'm saying, that you could just rotate it there. I have my ADD makes me. Yep, perfect. Okay, that's good. Nope. He flipped it too much.
We gotta flip it just one rotation back, if you don't mind. Okay, one more. One, beautiful, right there. Thank you. All right.
All right, the next item on the agenda is DRB 251148, aka DRB 200529. And this is 727, 741, 77th Street, 7701, 7737, Tatum Waterway Drive, and 7710, 7720 Dickens Avenue. This application has been filed requesting modification to a previously approved design review approval for the construction of a new multi-story addition to replace an existing one-story building and surface parking and other exterior site design modifications. Specifically, the applicant is requesting modifications of materials for exterior walls and variances of the height regulation exceptions to provide an outdoor wash counter and sink and a single enclosed restroom at the roof level.
So this is an application that was previously approved by the board. Just for way of background, in 2020, the City Commission approved the North Beach Public and Private Schools District Overlay, which created regulations for schools in the North Beach area. So this school, the Lerman School, took advantage of these regulations. And then on July 7, 2020, the DRB originally approved the construction of this new multi-story addition to replace an existing one-story building and surface parking and other design modifications, including the driveway on this site. So now it's under construction. The building is, if you go by the site, the building is under construction. You can see it, but however, as the construction is proceeding, they're seeing some issues and they're requesting some modifications to some of the materials. So I'll discuss those. Specifically, the applicant on the east facade, the applicant is requesting to revise the design of the horizontal banding and the stucco that's on that side to have greater spacing between the rows. This is intended to minimize potential water infiltration. The original design had some joints which the applicant's consultant determined would lead to water infiltration issues and overall maintenance issues with maintenance in the future. So the applicant is proposing to revise this in order to minimize that. The applicant has proposed two color patterns regarding this. We are recommending option 1, which however, we are recommending that the palette be composed of a lighter gray tone so as to not deflect attention from the main east facade, which is obviously the more important, the more well-designed, and the more prominent facade. The applicant is also requesting some variances. When the project was originally approved, the DRB included a condition requesting that the architect explore a green roof with gardens and landscaping on top of the new addition. So in other words, the DRB was requesting that the rooftop be activated. So the applicant, in trying to comply with this requirement, they are proposing to create some gardens and some planters which will activate and comply with that request of the DRB. However, in order to ensure that the students have a safe environment, the applicant does have to provide a bathroom and some wash counters so that as students are up there working on the equipment, they have the ability to wash up after they're done, or if there's any hazards, they can wash up, and then they need to have a bathroom. So they're requesting two variances. The first is to exceed the maximum permitted building height by 36 inches to allow for the outdoor wash counter and sink on the rooftop. Those are not allowable height exceptions in the code, so they're requesting the variances to allow those. And then the second one is to exceed the maximum permitted building height by 36 inches to provide a restroom within an existing enclosed area that is already approved. It's where the stairwell and elevator core is located. There is an open space there that they are going to enclose and create a bathroom out of that. The variance is so that the toilet and the sink that are required for a bathroom are able to fit, because those are also not allowable height exceptions unless they are required by the building code, which is typically only required when you have a water feature such as a pool or a fountain or something to that effect. So staff is supportive of the two variances. The request of the DRB for activating that rooftop creates the practical difficulties and hardships. And so in order to comply with that request, they need these two variances, and staff is supportive of the granting of the variances. So with that, staff recommends that the application be approved, subject to the conditions in the attached draft order.
Okay.
Good. Are there any disclosures?
Good morning. For the record, Alfredo Gonzalez with Greenberg Traurig at 333 Southeast 2nd Avenue. With me here today is my colleague David Butter, and I also have Eric Medina, who is a project manager on the site. We did come, and I think Rogelio did a good job of the overview. The school embarked on a enhancement of the property back in 2019, which led to us having to have the school overlay adopted first, and we came to the DRB. And as our application was to be heard the following month, the pandemic started. So we were delayed till July, and one of the first applications to get approved under the new Zoom process at that time. The school, from the get-go, wanted to enhance the experience for the students and wasn't asking to increase class size, the student size, which is 548. And then, in addition to that, they wanted to create several improvements. We got it all adopted back in 2020, and the school went on, because it's an operating school, pre-K to 5th grade, to phase the project. The public improvements were done first, which was the biggest benefit that the community and the city saw was that before this, the original approval, the drop-off and pickup was on 77th Street across from Biscayne Elementary's drop-off and pickup. By moving it on site, we reduced the traffic impact of the school by 70%. So that was done first. The city allows us to go in phases. We're now going to the last part of the project, which is the gymnasium, cafeteria, and the enhanced classroom spaces that allow for the arts, music, and science. So we're asking for two modifications on the facade. One is our engineers and Sogutech engineers looked at what was originally approved and identified issues that would create potential maintenance, resiliency, and water intrusion issues for the school after it was built. So brings us here today. And we'll go through some of the slides. That's the overall campus, that's the location. Those two in red were the parking lot that already belonged to Lerman Day School and the building they bought that they were going to add for where the new structure is sitting today. Keep going. I'll skim through it. You see the construction project, it's almost done. We're scheduled to have a TCO by June, July, so the new school year, the students could have the entire campus open. So we get to the facade modification. If you see the facade, which is considered our front, that faces Dickens, there's one area where the engineer identified that the pattern was too tight and could literally cause a lot of water intrusions and maintenance issues. So we kind of worked with staff to create more of a separated scoring pattern, which is what we're asking for the board to approve as one of our modifications. And then, if we keep going, to make it quick, keep going. Then we get to the north facade. The north facade is the side interior. It faces another two-story building. And there, again, there were a lot of issues with the materials being used and as maintenance and longevity that we came up with a stucco pattern and then neutral colors to create a painting pattern. We provided option 1, which is what you're seeing, and option 2. We are supportive of staff recommendation that option 1 should be the direction we take. And that identifies the modification. I'm going to have David go through the variances now for you, so you can understand the two minor variances.
Good morning, David Butter, law offices at 333 Southeast 2nd Avenue. Thank you for making the time for us this morning. As my colleague stated, I'm going to handle the rooftop level variances, part of the presentation. So to start the discussion about the variances, we have to go back to 2020 when the DRB originally approved our design. As Rogelio eloquently went through the history of the project, the DRB imposed a condition to encourage the applicant to activate the rooftop with a green space. So the applicant wanted to ensure all of staff's recommendations and suggestions were incorporated into the project. So in alignment with that condition, the applicant is seeking to provide an experiential learning area on the rooftop where students can quite literally get their hands dirty, learn about the environment, plant life, biology, things like that. And in order to provide and really realize the full potential of staff's recommendation and this experiential learning area, we're respectfully requesting 2 variances related to an outdoor wash counter and bathroom. Let me show you them here. Okay, so what's unique about these 2 variance requests is that they're going to be completely shielded from the public view. The variances are for 3 feet, starting with the wash counter, which is over here. Whoops, sorry about that. So the wash counter is going to be shielded by a 42-inch parapet that's already been approved that runs along the side of the building's facade. So not only is the wash counter lowered, the wash counter is also a bit stepped back from the parapet wall. So there will be no visibility from any vantage point in the public realm. Moving over to the restroom, getting more specific with the restroom, as Alfredo mentioned, the variance is simply to allow these plumbing fixtures, the toilet seat, the sink, and the faucet, to be approved within a already improved vestibule. Of course, this will also be enclosed and be invisible to the public eye. Both of these variances, the real intent stems from student safety, student hygiene. Without these practical and functional amenities or improvements, students would have to go up and down staircases, dirty hands, potentially have to wash their garden tools in a bathroom downstairs. Just really unrealistic and impractical, creates safety issues and spreading bacteria and other matter into the sanitary spots within the classroom area downstairs. We've had a great collaboration, working effort with staff. They're supportive of the variances. We hope you will be too, and we are here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody online?
Anybody online, if you'd like to speak, please raise your hand. No hands raised.
Anybody in the public? Okay, you can close and open up to the board.
Are there any disclosures on this item? Okay.
A question, Chair. What's the percentage of the terrace of the roof area that's being used for terrace out of the whole roof space?
It's like about 50.
It's way
About
less than
50%.
50%.
Huh?
We don't, it's way less than 50%.
It's great. Listen, I'm a big proponent for elevating the level of quality of environments for our students in Miami Beach and anywhere. And this school has a great reputation, is doing a great job at doing just that. And I love what you guys are doing and expanding and bringing more quality education to our city, which is fantastic. I think the project looks great.
Yeah, I think secondly, he said variance seemed extremely minor. I don't know why it's even discussed, but yeah, looks great.
Thank you.
I'm in support as well. Are we supposed to be choosing a paint scheme for that one facade, or is that just a,
Yes.
okay?
And staff recommends option one, we support option one as well, so if the board's comfortable in
That-
whatever motion.
That's the blocks, right?
Right, yes.
Yeah, I agree. I think that that's more fun. It's more school-like, so, but whatever you all prefer. And I'm in support. Thank you.
There's a variance for height for the bulkhead for over the wash sinks. Is there a height variance?
It's for the counter and the sinks themselves.
It's not for the
Right.
roof, okay.
No. Those are not allowable height exceptions. Generally, when you have a counter and a sink, that's for a bar or another type of use that we maybe don't want to see on a rooftop. This is the rare example where it's for a school. So we have no concerns with the variance here.
And was the void always a void?
It was, yeah, if you looked in the original plans, it was just a void there between.
Conveniently exactly the size of a bathroom.
Yeah.
Was in a bathroom, wasn't permitted this is why they're coming to us.
Yep, correct.
Just, I keep my eye out for things that come back to us for, like, there's it's not an elevator machine room that they've removed or anything. It was
No,
an
no.
empty
It was part of the vestibule that was there for between the stairs and the elevator.
If it wasn't a school, I'd question it more. But I just always wonder why an original design has an empty room that is perfectly positioned for a bathroom.
Well, right now, it's part of the vestibule, so they'd be able to incorporate part of the vestibule to create that space with the volume that was already approved.
Was the door on the wall there originally?
I think it had a wall. It was listed as a void. It was not the old plan said it was a void.
When this originally was reviewed, there was an option to have the whole structure with the stairwell and the elevator, a gap, which apparently, it was more unsightly of the architects, and the DRB at the time thought just a solid piece than having these gap that was inaccessible. So through the years, the space has been part of the vestibule, and
You know, it's just, it's convenient, but I'm in support of the bathroom. I'm just.
And originally, just so you understand, the school wasn't asking to activate the roof. Actually, they had concerns about activating the roof. So the staff recommended, and then we ultimately agreed on language that we would explore it. We couldn't guarantee at that time that we could activate the roof. So the school went back over the years and really studied the staff's recommendation, and then they activated. Had they not activated the rooftop with this garden, we wouldn't be here today asking for the sinks or creating a bathroom space. So the teachers don't have to, if they're in there with their class,
No,
they don't have to
you don't
separate.
have to explain it. I think it's great to activate it. It's nice. The stucco, I personally don't love this pattern. I feel like the original design was clean and matched all the facades of the building, and we have this like elegant, front facade, and now we're just stuccoing it. Was it a cost that driver too, or I know you mentioned engineer, you mentioned water infiltration, but I don't know, there was like a pattern to the original, material that could have been reimagined in the stucco scores, right, and matched it, like this one just being stucco. I personally would have liked that. Now we're gonna have this was just stucco with these lines. Now we're gonna have a building with its own vibe on the backside. And it just doesn't fit with me, and I just don't want it to be like, all right, these guys tried to save money, and this is what they came up with. And I know this architect, they're skilled, but that's just my opinion. I think we could leave it to staff to make sure, and the break lines make sense. Maybe it's the checkerboard that's bothered me, I don't know.
We approved their building permit using they had a gridded stucco pattern, so that's what they originally had approved. So we're going.
Not as big pieces?
Not as big, yeah, the lines were much closer together, consistent with the original design that was presented to the board.
Got it. Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
I would be on board with that. All right.
But apparently that, the applicant has indicated that the closeness of those score lines allows for greater potential for water infiltration that they're concerned with, is what they're telling us.
But we don't want water, so.
Chair? You're adamant about lighting elements. Maybe, I don't know if there's any lighting elements to the exterior of the building that maybe would enhance the look of the building. I mean, I look at the building, it looks nice to me. It's not like it's wild, but is there a lighting element to the exterior of the building?
Yeah, there are lights on the facade, so there will be lights facing Dickens.
No, I mean like.
The checkered side that we were talking about, that's a side interior that faces.
That part right there that comes out on the east side of the building, is that a terrace on the top or is that just a roof?
Roof.
Is there any lighting element to sort of enhance what that wall looks like facing east?
So the lights do go up. So there's lightings on that terrace, so if you're driving down Dickens, the lights will focus you to the front of the building.
Got it.
We don't have much lights that we put onto the side of the building.
No.
Since that faces
The building next door.
other apartment buildings
Right.
to the north.
I understand what you were saying, Chair. I'm just, I was just thinking in general that the building, if lit properly, indirectly on the east side, I know you're talking about the north side, but looking at the building, just in general, I think that a nice LED lighting element to the front of the building would enhance the look of the building without being overpowering, on the lighting side. I mean, I look at the building and it's just not left like, oh my God, but it's great. I mean, it's not like a.
The
It's cool.
lighting is important.
But the lighting, I think the lighting would make a big difference to aesthetically how the building pops out and looks in general when somebody's walking by it. And is the signage going anywhere on the east side of the building?
Now, the signage will be on 77, where the signage is today.
So there's no siding on any of that facade?
No.
It's just a recommendation. I think that, indirect LED lighting on, if it's wired for it, it would be awesome and it would.
But we do have.
Oh, cool.
Andres, for the east facade, there is lighting already part of the original permit. So there will be lighting, that'll be lit up.
Beautiful.
But there is no additional sign of the school, because since the main entrance is really, that's considered our front, because Dickens is Main Street versus 77. The reality is 77th Street, or Lorman Avenue Street, is actually where the drop-off is, where the entrance for the school name is on the side of the building. So,
Got it. And it can't be on both, they can, or you just don't want it? Is that a question, is staff, can they have the name on both sides of the building, or no?
Have a sign on each frontage.
And you guys are just electing not to have a sign on the east side?
we spend a lot more time on the design with the different patterns, and at the time, the school didn't look at putting a signage on. I felt it worked. I mean, a lot of this also, that interesting foresight now, that led to this enhancement for the students was also security-based. So one of the things that you'll see here is that's why the drop-off went on property, so it wouldn't happen in the street. Why the site has an 8-foot fence, we had to include that as part of the overlay to provide the level of security that the school needed, and I think, unfortunately, in today's age, I'm glad it's good that they have it. So, but all the activity for the students, the drop-off, the pickup,
It just seems that the existing school now, that east wall, which now incorporates and looks like the whole entire east facade, kind of like lent itself to have some type of a signage of the school there. But do you know what I'm talking about? Like
yeah,
this whole entire wall here. But
I mean, we could look into trying to put it, see if the school wants to put a sign and explore it. Right.
It's just a thought. That's all.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Anyone want to make a motion for? You guys are on a
I'll make a
roll with this.
motion to approve. So we do need to choose the
Right,
facade.
two motions and one, the modification of the prior order, you would have to pick option 1 or 2 for the painting. But
Okay.
then you'd need for the variances for the roof a separate motion.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion to approve with option 1.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Lewin, second by Mr. Lester. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion passes.
And I'll make a second motion to approve the variances as well. Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Lewin, and I believe we have your first second. Congratulations, Ms. Mindich. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much, and have a great day. Hopefully next month you'll have your name there. They're catching up.
thank you for what you're all doing with the school. It's beautiful. Great asset to our community.
All right, the next and last item on the agenda is DRB 251149, FKA DRB 23 or 913, 1415 West 41st Street. This application has been filed requesting modifications to a previously approved design review approval for the construction of a new two-story building to replace an existing two-story building. Specifically, the applicant is proposing modifications to the facade, including materials.
Okay, so this is an application that was originally approved, the construction of this building was originally approved in January of 2024. The applicant has since made some modifications to the building, the interior of the building. It's a small commercial building, infill building. It's in the middle of a block. It's a two-story building in the CD3 district of 41st Street. So that's the high-intensity commercial district. The applicant has revised the floor plan, so they've moved the elevator to the rear of the building, and then an open internal courtyard that was previously there has been reduced somewhat, and that results in the facade of the building being modified. So the applicant is incorporating an additional window into the facade, creating some additional movement. It creates staff believes it creates a more interesting facade, and staff is supportive of the modification. Additionally, they are proposing to enlarge a mesh opening that is on the ground floor, which screens an entry, garden, and porch. And staff believes that this also improves the design from what was previously approved. And staff is supportive of the proposed modification, and will let the applicant show you in detail what they're proposing.
Any disclosures?
I've seen the rendering presented to me a month or two ago by the broker, in which I told them to bring it to you.
Good morning, Norman Blandon, N25 Architect. I'm the architect at N25 Architecture's our company. So as Rogelio mentioned, this is on 41st Street. I'll quickly review the previous submission. This is a map. This is the survey, the site plan. We'll get to the point. We're okay when zoning. The numbers are perfectly compliant. The demolition was done under a separate permit, so the project's actually under construction at the moment. These are the photos of the existing conditions. This is a montage of the whole 41st Street facade, highlighting our building here, and see some other photos, close-up photos of some of the shops there. Now, this is the original plan. You see it's at the top. The affected areas are the elevator, which is in peach, the courtyard, which is the interior courtyard, which is greenish, and the atrium, which is blue, and also the facade. So on the lower plan, we see that we have moved the elevator to the back, and we're highlighting the facade, which is going to be affected, and the atrium, the light wall, has been reduced. On the second level, you see also the elevator in the back. The atrium light wall has been reduced, and we have removed the atrium on the second floor and expanded the size of that office space on the front facing 41st Street. You see, on the original, you had the window of that office space facing the courtyard, but we had no window facing the 41st Street. So after conversations with the owner and some of the prospective tenants, that's how we got to these proposed changes, creating more access to 41st Street and bringing more light into the front of the building. This is how the roof will be affected. On the left here is the original approved facade. As you see on the left side, there's no window, but the wire mesh it's a metal mesh that we have proposed. It's partially perforated. We have a picture of it here if you'd like to see it. And on the middle photograph, middle elevation, you see how we reduced the openings. Well, we enlarged it on the ground level and reduced it on the second level. So as you see, that is the sample of the material we plan to use. And we added the window and that office facing 41st Street as well. And the drawing on the right is the rear elevation, not much happening there, which is facing an alley. On the left is the original approval, and this is what we're proposing here on the right. We did also a section, working section through the building, highlighting the elevator and the light well. This is an elevation with the materials we propose to use, mostly stucco and the perforated metal. Those are the highlights of the facade. And basically, that's our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody online?
Anybody online, please raise your hand. No hands raised.
Okay. I don't see anybody else here, so thank you. Open it up to the board.
I have a question on the design. If you go to the photograph before, sorry, the next one with the picture. So where that man is standing in that top left window, you're saying that that is not going to be clear glass, rather it's going to be perforated metal?
On the ground level, it would be a screen of perforated metal. On the second level, it would be perforated metal and the window beyond.
How much does the perforated metal stop the light?
There's about a 2-3 inch gap.
No, how much, it's hard from that picture, how open does the,
Oh, the actual, it's 60% open. I think the numbers there is 63% opening. 63, yeah.
okay. And that's on all four, or on the left
No, just
and
the
right?
the two openings on the right.
And on the left, is that just clear glass?
Yes, on the left, you have the entrance where the one person is going, that's the entrance to the building. Above that is a window. And then on the right, you have the perforated metal. On the ground level, it's open to a courtyard. And on the second level, it's a window is behind that.
What are you saying? It's just window on the top
A
left.
fixed glass window on the second floor.
It's, let's see.
On the first floor, the courtyard is sort of open air.
Yeah, but so there's not symmetry in the two windows on top?
No, there's nothing.
There's, one is perforated metal and the other is glass?
Yes,
That's what I'm
yes.
trying
The
to understand.
one is only glass, the other one has perforated metal in front of the window.
Thank you.
So, is there a reason why the metal perforations does not go to the top of the building like the glazing on the original design? On the right.
On the original design, that was a full courtyard basically, and we were proposing
Okay, I keep thinking that's glass.
a
Okay,
palm
sorry.
tree, okay.
I keep thinking that's glass, glazing, but it's not. Is there a reason why you didn't go all the way to the top with it?
With this one could be, because that's gonna be an enclosed space. On the original one, that was an open space, open
Okay, you said that already.
to the sky.
Understood.
I'm sure I missed it, but your colleague that brought the iPad around with the texture, what is that? Is that the metal?
It's aluminum, that
That's-
would be the mesh, yeah.
That would be the
aluminum.
mesh, okay. Interesting.
The renderings don't really portray that particular pattern at all, nor a color. So, and when you call it a mesh, it's not, it's a perforated screen.
Perforated aluminum, yeah.
What pattern are you planning to use?
The thing is, in the rendering, we couldn't find that exact pattern, so we just use a generic material, so. You go over there.
Is it gonna be organic like this, or is it gonna be?
No, that's a panel. We have the manufacturer, we've contacted the manufacturer, and we're working with them for the details of construction.
Riverstone.
Riverstone is the name of the pattern by Hendrick Metals.
Do you have a closer sidewalk
Yeah, I thought
view?
that was the floor.
Excuse me?
Is there a closer sidewalk view of it?
Closer sidewalk?
Like from on your sidewalk,
Yeah.
facing, looking at the south, do you have a view like?
Oh, not in this presentation, but we had done studies for the previous application, yes.
I'm just wondering how it looked like when you're walking by on the street from sidewalk.
You know, in Bayshore, the new park, how it's sort of like, the signage or in
When you approaching it from the,
or the gates up in North Beach.
yes,
That, like,
yes,
this
yes.
is
and
like,
that-
this is like a smaller version.
I
of it.
see.
They're like little.
Yes, yes. It would be helpful if it was like a sidewalk
Yeah.
view of it, just,
Was this always the material that was previously approved?
We had not seen that particular material. We'll need a copy of, if the board is comfortable with that material, we'll need a copy of that.
It's in the original submittal, that, an image of that material, yes.
It is? Okay,
Yeah.
we're,
Oh, that was gonna be used on the right side of the building. and
Right,
that-
right,
Okay, okay.
Chair, I have a question.
No, go ahead.
So on the south side of the building, to understand, you moved the open space, you removed the open space on the second floor? Correct?
Correct.
Can you
Here,
put up the
this,
floor plan up there for a second?
this was,
This space here, this before was
Yes,
open space?
yeah,
and
yes,
now
you
it's
see,
in-
yeah.
Now it's inside.
that was a courtyard that would go all the way up, and now we've made it a part of the interior space, so that's part of,
So now that's interior space?
Yes.
Right, so why is there then, my colleague here had mentioned, regarding the two windows, why is it the window on the left side, on the west side, all clear glass, but the window on the right side has the mesh?
we wanted to keep some of the original intent of our idea that was previously approved. So we wanted to keep that transparency that was in the original version. In the original version, it was transparent, it's transparent to the courtyard and the open courtyard. But now we're trying to keep some of that original idea and just take the mesh and put it in front of the window to create some of the same idea that we had before.
Got it, so then the rendering really doesn't, because you're showing those look like kind of like white stones.
Well, when in the software that we have, we couldn't find the exact, that exact pattern, so we went with something generic to represent
So it's gonna be
that.
white stone like that from the top all the way to the bottom?
It's, that pattern's gonna, and that aluminum pattern will go from, in those two openings.
Oh, got it, so the white is the clear area, is a hollow area?
It's open, yeah, the white is
Perforated. It looks like white
perforated.
river rocks to me. From the-
Well, that's the name of the pattern, River
Right,
Rock,
right.
yeah.
No, but what you see in white is the perforated area.
Got it.
Yeah, so if you see here
Understand.
on the screen, that would be that material, and this would be that material, these two things.
Understood. So when you're up there, you just have that blockage of view from inside of
Partial,
the space,
yes.
partial, looking out. Got it.
Little more privacy.
Yeah,
On that side, yeah.
understood.
okay, we do see in the plan that was approved in 2024, we do see that material page. It's not included in the packet that's before you today, but we would refer to the original one.
Since it's in front of us, are we allowed to make a change to the previously approved? Because it's in front of us?
Yeah.
I find the material, I wasn't here when the original one was approved. I don't love it. I think it's a little basic, and this is a new building on the block, and you've got a chance to make a statement here, and like a stainless steel woven mesh, like you were calling it, versus just an aluminum fence material would be much more interesting and have texture and still have the same opacity. You could keep all that, but would be, I don't know, more handsome and just nicer for the street. So my opinion is that I'm fine with you increasing your usable floor area inside, which seems to be the exercise here. But that material I don't like the material. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't want to tell them what to use, even though I just did. But yeah, I think, and also the plantings inside there so that you buffer the look at the stair, because we don't know what the stair on the inside is going to look like. If the stringer gets butted up against the glass and it doesn't get finished, right, we want to make sure you kind of keep that clean. And also I see a wood ceiling inside, which might not probably happen either, so if that's part of it. So I don't know, that's my opinion on that. The perforation, the screening, I'll call it, is changing the specification of the screening.
Yeah, there are, as you know, there are limitations on the actual materials we can use with the NOAs and all that. So in this case, we know that this is approved they have NOAs, and it will be in compliance with those requirements as far as this material. But
is it something that the staff has a knowledge of previously approved materials, or is it something that we should have them do research and come back with a new material? Because that's really my issue, is just the screening material. And the rest, yeah, no, we can't improve the design with the caveat of that so they can keep construction moving. Don't want to slow that down.
If you give us some guidance as to the type of material that you'd like to see, we're comfortable approving it at a staff level. However, as an alternative, if you do want to see that material, you can approve the overall massing and bring back just the mesh, bifurcate the approval, approve everything else so they can proceed with their construction plans and look at the mesh at the next meeting if you choose.
I mean, I would be fine with staff approving, but now that you said that there's other restrictions, I'm just like a little unsure what we could do here. I mean, I agree. I like the new massing. I think that's really nice and thoughtful. I think that maybe that aluminum cutout worked on the prior design because that acted more as like a shield to open space, whereas now you're shielding enclosed space. So I think something lighter. I mean, as in terms of guidance for staff, it just needs to be like Adam was, like you were saying, a true mesh, or maybe like wires with a growth of planting on it, or something just lighter. So, I mean, I'd be comfortable handing that to staff, assuming that's something from the neighbor, there's not going to be a restriction with the neighborhood, like preventing something like that being approved.
Yeah, I think as the architect said, it's something that's previously approved, which is hard, but there are other products out there, right? And if the suggestion I would say would be a woven material of obviously stainless steel.
Perhaps something like the previous house that was presented, or?
Yeah.
That's chain link. I think this one could be a little, this has to have a security element, I think, because it's on a
Right,
commercial
yes,
street,
yeah, 'cause a
right?
big
Like
level, yeah.
Banker is a company that makes the products. It's not a gigantic square footage, so it will be more costly than what you've got for sure. But you'll be able to frame it and tie it back, so it should be approved, but I think, so it doesn't have to come back to us, I think, if that's enough direction.
Yeah, I just wanted to return to Laura's comment about bringing in some green element. I just find the design rather jarring with what's going on either side of the building and the street. And I think it would soften it and maybe enhance some of the softer lines on either side to have some more natural elements to it.
And there's a planter inside of there still that's
Yes.
not gonna get a lot of light, but I definitely think that should be filled with low light plants so that we see the green there and like introduce potentially climbing species on whatever, because it's not gonna climb that aluminum very easy, so it would be able to climb a woven product better.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can make a motion to approve with the condition that the aluminum covering be replaced with a lighter and more woven metal form that just is more transparent with the building behind it, and to also just kind of consider planting as well as you work through that. Is that, let staff approve that?
Okay.
Is that enough?
And
Okay.
utilize planting that has the ability to creep up the
Yeah.
species.
low light species. And sorry, you said?
Climbing species.
Climbing species.
It's like, where did that come from? Okay, and that's the motion.
Second motion.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, just as long as we've rejected the aluminum.
Yes, yeah, will aluminum be replaced?
Yeah.
Noted. Do we come back to the board or staff?
Well, we have to
Okay.
wait for the vote.
Yeah.
Right now, it looks like you don't have to.
Okay.
Approve with mods. Okay, so we have a motion by Ms. Lewin and a second by Mr. Lester. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Thank you, guys. We're gonna get more of these coming up, like on the street, and that's like a fence. That's a fencing material.
Okay. All right. Next meeting will be April.
It's. No,
April 16th.
It's a fencing materials.
April 16th.
It's my landlord, so they don't like to go on it.
Your seat is one of the.
It probably was a couple of years ago, yes.
So it's like.
We could do anything we wanted to. Yeah.
What made me feel better about it
Um,
was the Verizon building, like.
No,
chilling
any,
down
are there any
outside.
more items? No, meeting adjourned? Thank you, everybody. Welcome.
Thank you.